Alright, the spookiness has happened. The scene transition has happened. Oh, I'm on camera? I wasn't supposed to be on camera. How about this one? Now I'm not on camera. Excellent. Very professional, very professional. Once again, apropos to the situation. So, I think it's important that we figure out what exactly a Kevin is. Looked good? No, I didn't. I'm scruffy as hell. I didn't shave. I haven't done nothing. I've done nout. Stop lying. I appreciate it, but stop lying. Okay. So, just so that we're all on the same page. Okay, so apparently a Kevin, apologies to all Kevins, but I think this is much the same way as when referring to a Stacy. You're not necessarily referring to somebody who's named Stacy. It's a kind of blanket term, right? So in this case, a Kevin is someone who consistently or greatly shows a complete lack of intelligence through incompetence of social and societal norms, or is purposefully antagonistic in their poor decision making. Bo is terrifying? Well, I suppose we'll hear whether that's the case or not. I can imagine that hearing Welcome to the Internet played at 25% speed is rather confronting. So, that's what we're dealing with at the moment. This is what a Kevin is. Now, generally speaking, how I do these Reddit readings is I will allow the community to be the arbiters of what is considered quality or not, and then we'll see the kind of quality of the human being. Now, consider we are already on Reddit, so we're already dealing with a subspecies of human. Perhaps one that would have gone extinct previously, as it's very likely that they're infertile and they're not going to be able to produce their own offspring. As such, take that, Reddit. So, once again, if the quality of the stories is not up to par, this is not my fault, this is their fault, right? I take no blame in my lack of preparation. Who knows? Maybe if eventually I can do this for a living, I'll have time to audit this so that we can only have the creamiest of tales. In any event, I guess we will crack on with what is supposed to be the best of all time, therefore it's all downhill from here. So, get yourself a nice cup of preferred beverage, place a nice bowl of preferred snack, and enjoy. Also, I didn't warm up, so I'm all phlegmy. I'm phlegmatic, so that should make this even more interesting. As I start hacking my lungs out, accidentally message my boss that boss is terrifying, so that's scarier than the definitions of Kevin. Well, I mean, you could put your own tale here, your own tale of Kevinism. I imagine that a lot of the times, these things aren't done necessarily out of a lack of intelligence. But I think a relatable mistake is okay. I think when we're thinking about Kevin's, the story of that gym bro argument that occurred where they started arguing about how someone can have a day working out and then a break day and have 8 of those in a fortnight. And then this freaking days worth argument started. I think that's probably where we're looking at with Kevin's here. Right? I think that's where we're looking at as far as Kevin's go. In any event, I think we'll kick off. Let's kick off with this story. Thanks and apologies to Lego Maniac 89. There's either 89 Lego Maniacs in the world, which I assume is incorrect, or they were born in 1989 and they never bothered updating their nickname. Classy. My boss's stepson is a Kevin to end all Kevins. Oh, well, if he ends all Kevins, then we won't have any more of these stories, right? So just over a year ago, I switched jobs and went to work for a guy. Let's say this guy's name is Bob. Sorry, Robert. Who is running a new/used aquarium shop. Right. The shop was built onto his house, so as a result I've become pretty close with his family, including his 15-year-old stepson. Lego Maniac 89. 15-year-old stepson. Close. Alright. Who is the most Kevin person I've ever met? For the first couple months, I thought he was just a bit quirky and clumsy. But as I've come to know him more, I've discovered that he is a Kevin of the highest order. Sorry, I just realized that I have a key light shining directly in my eyes that I don't need because the camera isn't on. There we go. Oh, that's so much more pleasant. Why do people use cameras and green screens? This is nice. I like this. Now, I've known some dumb teenagers in my time. Hell, I used to be one. Decades ago. Okay, maybe I should just read the story. No, the color commentary is important, surely. But this kid is just on another level. Just in the year that I've known him, he licked a lit match because he thought fire would taste like a flamin' hot Cheeto. Ah. He cannot climb a flight of stairs without tripping up them. This is a multiple times a day occurrence. I mean, he might just have neurological issues then. He once dropped a bowl of cereal and milk, and rather than clean the mess with a towel, he soaked up the spill with his sock. A sock that was still on his foot. Then he put on his shoes, went out to catch a bus, and went to school with a soaking wet milk sock. He went to the school nurse that day because he was convinced that his foot was bleeding and soaking through his sock. I didn't realize that reading these stories would begin to cause actual physical pain. Oh, we are in for a ride. He wants to be the first pro-Trump rapper and is currently pissed off at Kanye for stealing his idea. I'm reasonably sure Filthy Frank did it first. He's failing gym class. I have no idea how one fails gym class. There's always pain. Well, I thought that engaging with these human beings was the worst thing that you could possibly do. Right? I didn't think that reading about their exploits was supposed to be painful. Is this it? Have we finally found cringe culture? Is this the cringe culture that everybody was talking about? Man. This is not entertaining. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's good. It's good. We're laughing at them. Haha, silly person. He has broken more than 20 aquariums in the last year. When we buy used tanks, they need washed and leak tested before we resell them. Kevin sometimes does this to help out, but can't understand when you wrap the hose around an aquarium, you can't just yank it free. For reference, I've been in the aquarium hobby for 12 years and I've broken 2. He's not allowed to clean tanks anymore. Bob was selling an older, fairly good condition Cadillac that had been sitting in his driveway for a while. The day before the buyer came to pick it up, Kevin was moving mowing. I was going to say, Kevin was moving the yard and scraped the handle of the mower along the entire length of one side of the car. He likes to use Jew as an insult. When I called him out on it, I discovered that he thought that Jewish people didn't actually exist. He thought that they were an imaginary race of people that everyone pretended to hate. Okay. He played lacrosse on his school's team this summer and got benched all season because he told the coach that he didn't need to run laps or go to practice. Wait, and you don't know why this person is failing gym. Right. This is probably why... Sorry. This is probably why he's failing gym class. Okay. Sorry, this person only thinks in the way that they write. This didn't occur to them before they wrote it down, and they didn't feel the need to go back and correct a post before they actually sent it. This is narrative storytelling, my friends. He left in the morning like normal to go catch the bus. 3 hours later, he came back saying that he missed the bus and he needed to be driven to school. The problem, it was Labor Day. There was no school. He stood at the bus stop for 3 hours on a day when there was no school. Now, once again, these kind of things, one, there are other human beings in this person's life, right? They could have told them that it was Labor Day and that they didn't need to go to school, right? Like, I'm pretty sure that at least once I was preparing to go to work on a public holiday because I was stressed and worked a terrible job and didn't realize that I wasn't going into work that day until it was told to me. Now, doesn't necessarily make you stupid. I think maybe all of the other things so far have kind of made them a bit thick, but this one is kind of understandable. Maybe 3 hours is a bit much in modern day world, because I feel like you probably could have been on the phone. You would have gone to Twitter. You would have started doom scrolling, waiting for the bus to turn up. That never did. Before realizing, oh, look, what's this hashtag Labor Day? Hey, I didn't jump the gun. I'm just asking questions that seem appropriate, right? He eats... Well, and also, you have to understand, this is a subreddit where people go, haha, this person is so much more stupid than I am. I'm sorry, but if that's the case, you should format this in a cogent fashion, because you're supposed to be proving that you're not stupid, and you're using this to vent about people who are big dummies, right? So, don't be like them, because then everyone's going to just dismiss your writing. It's like, psh, look at this person. They've used incorrect grammar twice, and they can't understand the formatting of their own text. Clearly, they are the stupid one. Now, I could feel superior. He eats absolutely everything in sight. If you leave food unattended for more than 10 seconds, it's gone. Bob went to Taco Bell and got food for the 4 of us. Kevin was left alone with it and ate his, mine, Bob's, and half of his mom's food before he realized that it probably wasn't all for him. Stupid is what stupid does. What is this, Forrest Gump? That guy was mentally disabled. And the mentally disabled Tom Hanks played a character who was mentally disabled. I don't think that's fair. See, I've got a drum kit. I could do a live. I'm gonna do a live rim shot. Hold on. I'm doing it. Hold on. I dropped the drumsticks. Hold on. Here, live rim shot. Oh, my drums aren't turned on. That was the joke. Moving on. Hey, see, that would have been a lot funnier if I had my camera on. Probably not, though. When... What is going on? When he found out that I'm a chili head... Chile head? What, wait. Chile head? Okay, so... Okay. When he found out that I'm a chili head, he bragged for a week about how he loved super spicy food too. Then he tried a glob of my espresso, after I warned him repeatedly not to, and spent the next 2 hours crying and blaming me. We've been gradually remodeling the house when we're not working in the store. Kevin's bedroom was the first room we finished. He managed to put a hole in the wall on the first day he moved in. Well, thankfully you were still remodeling the house, so you could fix the hole immediately, right? I mean, come on, that's just a complaint, really. One day, completely out of... Why am I playing devil's advocate to a story from 5 years ago about a person who's a bit thick, talked about anonymously? I don't know, maybe I just like to protect the little guy. The really, really stupid little guy. Okay. One day, completely out of the blue, he asked me, I know girls don't have a penis, but is there like a hole beneath their belly button where their penis would be? I mean, yeah. I mean, yes, there is. Once again, seems like a perfectly innocent query. Alright? I mean, it's just... He's curious. He's at a curious age. He's 15. Or some age before that. Just... Come on. Where was I? Bob told Kevin to wash the truck one day earlier this year. Kevin thought he'd be helpful and wash out the fuel tank as well with water. He's just being helpful. Just being helpful. His school lets him rent a tablet for schoolwork. Oh dear. He got it taken away within a week because he was using it for porn. I assume he wanted to find out if girls had a hole where a penis should be. I mean, see? Hey, if you'd answered him, he'd still have use of the tablet. Clearly. His parents signed him up for tutoring to help with his grades. Turns out all the tutoring in the world won't help your grades if you never turn in your homework. He was under the impression that homework was optional. Also, he routinely falls asleep in class. Well, to be fair, if you ace all your tests, homework is optional. Like, a lot of the time you're not graded on homework. He thought that fish were just very active plants. Oh, sorry, once again, I don't know anything about the United States of America. I know it exists. I know that's where corn lives. You're almost always graded on homework here? Well, that sucks. Because I never did any of mine, and I got A's. Clearly, you're living in the wrong country. Hey, who are you hoping wins the election? The geriatric old man or the other geriatric old man? Let's go! Go America! Woo, woo, woo! We're being represented by people that 1 foot out of the grave. Okay, he managed to tip over and dump the contents of a trash can he was taking out to the roadside to be picked up. Rather than pick up the mess, he just kicked it around and spread it across the yard in hopes that it would be less noticeable if the mess was less concentrated. The one time I got an A was when a teacher gave you a 50% for homework not turned in. Oh. Okay. Well, clearly you should be turning in the homework. Although it is dull. We already established it. It took like 4 hours to do that make-believe homework during that scary game that wasn't scary. Ooh, okay. Edit number 1. To everybody wondering if Kevin had some kind of undiagnosed mental health issue, I suppose it's possible. But it seems more like just a severe lack of common sense than anything else. I've never met his biological dad, but from what I've learnt from his mom, he's one of those people who is habitually unemployed, yet spends all day bitching about how immigrants and minorities are a drain on society. I'm hoping Kevin will eventually grow out of his Kevinness and not follow in his dad's footsteps. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily fair to say that kids are necessarily stupid. I mean, clearly some are going to be a little bit more dense than others, but the idea is that children are still learning, and unless you educate them, they're going to remain ignorant and stupid, or they're going to start listening to somebody that they shouldn't, right? Like, they're going to come into one of my streams and I'm going to be gaffing about, eat the homeless, and they're going to go, well, actually, that sounds like a really good idea. And they get a knife and a fork out and they go they go over the bad side of town and, you know, try to consume another human being. And it's like, oh my god, that's so dumb. And it's like, well, no, it was a throwaway joke, but they were a little too dense to know that that was. Education's important. Clearly, this child is being failed. Edit number 2. A couple more. One just happened this week and another apparently happened a couple of months ago, and Bob just told me about it. Kevin decided he was going to practice his blacksmithing by removing the leaf catcher bag from the lawnmower and bending the excrement out of the metal frame. Then he realized after the fact that he was probably going to get in trouble for ruining the leaf catcher, so he decided to burn the bag and throw the frame into the trash. Bob found out, of course, and Kevin spent the last week complaining about how tedious it is to manually rake the leaves out of the yard. I mean, was it an excuse? Is this just a florid description of what he was doing, or was he literally trying to, you know, he's got his blacksmithing it too. He needs to work on metal to build that up. I mean, I feel like it's probably indefensible, but you know, once again, children, it's a child. If this was a 30-year-old, then sure, I'm going to be a little bit more. Here's the other thing, right? Clearly, this particular Kevin is a problematic child. So perhaps monitoring them, perhaps a sterner hand, maybe being present. Sounds like Kevin has far too much free time. Kevin should take up a sport that he will refuse to play. Kevin discovered that you can take things apart with a screwdriver and decided to disassemble the blender with this newfound knowledge. He took the entire thing apart and had no idea how to put it back together again, so he left the pieces all over the counter. When his parents asked him why he did it, he first denied that it was him, and then claimed that the blender just randomly fell apart for no reason. Random joke about the manufacture of items in the United States. Ooh, ah. Renowned for bad workmanship. Since this is getting a bit of attention today, here's an update about Kevin's 2019. Kevin has not started driving yet, and he won't likely for at least another year. Bob bought him an old Jeep that needed repairs before it was drivable, and Kevin managed to knock one of the side mirrors off with his bicycle. I have no idea how. Kevin has decided to start writing a fantasy novel, and in a moment of weakness, I volunteered to be his beta reader. He then told me that it's going to be an erotic orc fiction with swords. Wait, and that makes him stupid? I mean, that sounds pretty savvy. Kevin's ready to embrace the internet culture because those degenerates will read anything. And a lot of degenerates probably want to read erotic orc fiction with swords. I mean, how are you going to have erotic orc fiction without swords? It sounds a little dull. He was making a grilled cheese sandwich and decided to experiment and put peanut butter on it. He burnt the peanut butter, set off the smoke alarm, ate half of it, gagged, threw it in the trash, then dug it out of the trash and ate the rest. I mean, if he didn't, it would have been wasteful, right? He isn't allowed to have a cell phone because he is still failing a number of classes and he is too easily distracted by technology. So he's been going to Walmart and buying the cheapest phone they have and hiding it from his parents. The problem is that he hides it in his pocket and doesn't know how to silence ringtones. He has had at least 3 phones taken away from him. Right. He got a blunt from one of his friends at school, smoked it, and then told his parents that the smell was his new cologne. This, my friends, my dear listeners, is the best post. This is the best post about a child. It's just a dumb child. I am not confident. Should we have a peek at some of the comments? I don't know if any of these are actually worth reading at all. Here we go. I think this is probably the most appropriate thing that anybody will have said in this, right? This person gets it. To be fair to Kevin, some of these are only slightly stupider than the average for a teenager. But they also used stupider, so unfortunately we're going to have to invalidate their opinion. Damn. And I was so hopeful too. I thought this was going to be it. This was going to be the silver bullet, but nope. Right. So, that was the best. Let's go to the second best. Also, apparently that was extra long. Inept. I'm just gonna go with naive, right? Or maybe oblivious? What I've found, and look, I'm not putting on the old man hat, okay, please. I'm going to preface by saying that, which immediately means that this is going to be construed as something that an old man would say. But I think there's a very good chance that portable technology has gone a long way of making people less well-rounded as human beings. Because we're offloading a lot of our thought and a lot of our processing to devices, rather than actually retaining or seeking out knowledge for ourselves. Right? Because take, for example, you know, when I was stream earlier this week, I didn't remember the Shia LaBeouf song, you know, the one about actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. Because I was losing my mind when we were playing the Hotline game, and I couldn't remember the name. Clearly, I looked it up afterwards, but guess what? I've retained that knowledge. It is now in my head, until I forget it again, but it's there. I have a feeling that if we just go back to the device every time, there's going to be this kind of processing lag that occurs. And people are going to have what I will affectionately call mental obesity, right? Because you can have physical obesity if you don't work out this horrible muscle mech, this meat machine that we are. You can become obese, and much in the same way, if you don't exercise your brain, it just becomes this pound of flesh that doesn't really do anything. Kind of just weighs your neck down. So, you know, I feel like there's a good chance that this person is just offloading a lot of their thought. And I'm seeing a lack of... just a lack of processing power from a lot of the younger folks that I come across, right? Once again, not an old man thing, not an old man thing. It's happening to adults too. It's happening to older people as well. We should use it or you'll lose it. I think it's important. Use it or you'll lose it. And maybe that's the whole point of doing this today. Who knows? It's almost as if maybe it was planned. It wasn't. It wasn't planned at all. Like, it wasn't planned at all. Next. Okay, thank you and apologies to Laser Moon Centaur. Today's tale of woe is I fired Kevin after one day of amazing stupidity. Probably one of the most stupid people, I will correct your egregious use of a word, I've ever met. He was a 26-year-old male and turned up an hour and a half late the first day. He was brought in by his mum, which I thought was kind of odd for a grown man. I let that slide, but then things just got worse. It was a small roadside cafe/eatery. Sorry, not cafe, cafe. No accent on the E. So I thought I'd get him started on small duties to ease him into the way of the place. I asked him to put new toilet paper in the toilets. A minute or so later, I hear him yelling, "Oh, it won't fit on the toilet roll holder." I'm like, what? It's a pretty simple thing. He calls out again, so I tell him to bring it to me so I can show him. He's carrying a roll of paper towel. It's almost 3 times the length of the TP holder. "Kevin," I say, "this is a paper towel." "No, it's not." "Yes, it is. Have you ever seen toilet paper that big in your life?" No. "Right. Furthermore, and probably more perplexing, oh yes, this is how normal people talk. Excuse me, fine sir. You've made a real muggins of this situation. Let me elucidate you on it." Okay. We're going to run into this a lot, right? We're going to run into a situation where people prop themselves up more. Just so that it's like, oh man, I can really get behind this person. They clearly know what they're talking about. They used $10 words. It's like, well, no. That's fine in your, like, florid description of the situation, but Don't be as like, they're talking, duh, I don't know how things work. And he's like, sorry, fine boy, I think you've made a right mess of it. Allow me to educate you on the situation. It's like, no, people don't talk like that. And if they do, just turn 180 degrees and walk away, because they are not worth engaging in. Right, okay, here we go. Right, furthermore, and probably more perplexing, can you not see that this massive roll couldn't possibly fit on this small bar? Yeah, I thought it was odd. Oh, boy. Well, the day goes on, and after the kitchen pretty much closed except for pre-cooked baked goods, I get him to give a general clean and ask him to make sure he wipes down all of the benches. I leave him to it, and as I assume he's doing fine. Cool, wrong! Whoa! One of the other staff comes up and says we've run out of toilet paper. And I'm like, what? That's not possible. Sure enough, all the packs are torn open and empty except for the rolls on the holders. At this stage, I realize there can be only one culprit and call Kevin over. Did you do something with the toilet paper? WTF is with this guy and the toilet paper? Yeah, I used it to wipe down the benches in the kitchen. You used 8 rolls of TP to wipe down the benches in the kitchen? Why are you using toilet paper to wipe down benches? I don't like using the dishcloth. Who taught you to wipe down benches with toilet paper? Have you ever seen anyone wiping down benches with toilet paper? The cloth was dirty and I didn't want to clean it out. By this stage, I'm thinking, day's nearly over, just let it go and I'm sure it will work out fine. Yeah, you know what's coming. Kevin strikes again, and this time it's beyond moronic. I've got him on serving customers, pastries, and the like, because all you have to do is take it out of the glass bay, put it on a plate, and give it to them. He doesn't even have to ring it up, just pop on plate and give. Well, one of the customers orders 3 scones with jam and cream. He's behind the counter doing his thing, and I have a little peek and see, yes, he's cut them in half and managed to put jam and cream on them. About a minute later, the customer brings the scones back up to the counter. There's something really hard in these scones. I bit down and it was like crunching on a rock or something. Of course, I'm puzzled. I'm really sorry about that. When Kevin cuts in, it's probably just the seeds in the jam. Now, there's something about the way he says this that makes my alarm bells ring. Show me what you put on these scones. And I start marching toward the prep bench. Sitting on the bench is a bowl of whipped cream, and next to it, a plastic bag, is a broken glass jar which contains the jam. The may at the fay acther is what an odd word, is feeding the customer broken glass. I didn't think it would be a big deal. Are you king insane? I grab the plate of mostly uneaten glass-infused scones. How is anyone supposed to eat this? To my utter amazement, he proceeds to eat them in front of me, all the while crunching on glass and flinching every time he does. Paralyzed, dumbfounded. When he finishes eating them, he says, "You think I should go to the hospital?" You're fired. Okay, so up to maybe this point, I was blaming the staffer, right? Clearly they were a little pretentious. They were a little, they enjoyed the smell of their own waste a little bit too much for my tastes, right? And, okay, you know, 26-year-old carted off to a workplace by their mother, there's a very good chance that they haven't worked in many places, right? So, what I've learnt personally from having to tell people what to do in a work environment, you have to assume that if you don't tell them every single bit the whole minutia of the experience, they're going to find a way to do something stupid, right? For example, I work in a storeroom, and unless I state otherwise, a person will bring a piece of equipment that they've finished using, and they will invariably place it in the easiest place possible. So, you know, an area where there is a nice open space, and they'll just place it there and they'll walk off. Usually there's a nice empty space there because that's where I'm currently working. There is a pallet that is half collapsed. There are cages filled with stock around it. That's where I'm working, and they'll just walk in and place the trolley directly where I'm working. And I'll sort of just look at them, and they'll just wander off. If you don't tell them not to do that, they're going to do that. So, you know, okay, sure, not understanding what a paper towel is, 26-year-old being driven to work by their mother. Understandable. Cleaning down surfaces with toilet paper, a little bizarre, but once again, did you tell them what to use? Did you say, like, you're just going, oh, just clean the benches. It's like, sure, you've done it 15,000 times. Of course, you're going to know how to do it correctly. Right? You're going to understand that. They might not, though. Serving a human being broken glass? Yeah, I think there's a limit to what could be considered something learnt and basic human biology. Because I'm reasonably sure up until this point, they probably weren't served meals with broken glass unless their parents were trying to get rid of them. In which case, perfectly understandable. I give this story pretentious person out of 10. Are we enjoying this? Did you expect that punchline that they were serving human beings broken glass? I did not. I did not see that coming. So I think that one was better than the first one. That one was better because this was an adult and not a child. You're not enjoying it? Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm assuming that you said you didn't expect it, but, you know, I'm taking it on the funnier direction. Okay, next story on a throwaway account. You're talking about somebody. You're talking about somebody in anonymity. Why would you need a throwaway account? That's bizarre. All right, never mind. Anyway. So, next story. Sensible Sam and Kevin. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. Throwaway account on mobile. No one cares. I cared. I cared? This is about a Kevin in my program at college. Oh, I guess, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Although, once again, if you were a Kevin, if you were a true Kevin, would you know about a subreddit complaining about Kevins? Or would you go onto some rando at college's Reddit account, search through their posts, and find one that inexplicably is about somebody who's kind of exactly the same as you? But clearly it's a coincidence, and you're a Kevin, so you don't have that processing power anyway. This is about a Kevin in my program at college. She was actually a pretty mediocre kid mostly for the first few years. Rough. Okay. Immediately inflammatory language. Clearly, this is... you need a throwaway account for this. She scraped by in classes, had a few friends, and more than a few moments of pure, unadulterated Kevin-ness. Several highlights include jumping off a 2-story roof to see what would happen. Maybe she expected that she wouldn't touch the ground, and she'd just keep going. A complete inability to comprehend the difference between ice cream and gelato, despite many attempts to explain it to her. How did you explain it? Ice cream has dairy in it. Gelato tends not to. Right? Right? So am I missing something? It's like one's made from cow tits and the other one isn't. Wait, hold the phone. So which one's made from cow tits? and drinking an unspecified amount of espresso, and spent the better part of an hour literally running in circles around the architecture building to burn off some energy. Now that just seems sensible. Gotta get your steps in. At one point, a boy about a year ahead of Kevin in the program took an interest her. Nice. Let's call him Sensible Sam. Can we not shorten Sensible Sam to the SS, please? Sensible Sam and Kevin set up a date at a nice place just off campus. Oh, wait, no, this is a dog whistle. Ah, of course. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. This is a post by a neo-Nazi. We're being played. Kevin got understandably nervous before the date. Kevin's panic response was to drink an entire large milkshake. Yeah, but was it a gelato shake? Immediately prior to meeting Sensible Sam. Kevin is lactose intolerant. Kevin threw up. Oh, well, there's an easy way to explain. Just give Kevin an ice cream and a gelato. I give them the gelato. It's like, did you throw up? No. Give them the ice cream. Did you throw up? Yes. There you go. See, this person just isn't very practical in their problem solving. For some godforsaken reason, Sensible Sam kept dating her. Oh my god, they threw up once? I don't want to date them anymore. I didn't realize that bodily fluids came out of a lady. I never realized that a lady excreted things. Disgusting. That's just like guys. They actually fell head over heels for each other and stayed together for years, despite the fact that Kevin suggested a lovely little downtown place for dinner, got horribly lost and could find neither the restaurant nor the way back to campus, has lived in this town for years. Accidentally claimed to be single just after her and Sensible Sam's 1-year anniversary. Decided the minor side effects of her morning ADHD meds were not worth dealing with all day, so she started taking them at night. I mean, okay. Her ADHD meds are effective for about 6 hours after being taken. She was almost entirely useless until she went to refill her prescription and her doctor told her what an idiot she is. Hey, look. She really paid attention during those downtime hours, okay? She was extremely focused on sleep, and you know what they say, you need sleep to stay mentally healthy. Clearly, ADHD, the effects would have been okay, no, she's dumb. Asked Sensible Sam how to spell his last name. His last name is 4 letters. They had been dating for months at this point. Found a way onto the roof of the art building. Was not immune to getting in trouble after putting pictures on her Snapchat story instead of a group chat. Okay. Forgot her shoes on the walk of shame twice. Well, I mean, she had to go home and take her ADHD meds. Tried to take Sensible Sam to meet her parents. Somehow drove to the wrong state. That one seems like a non-issue. I mean, you know, in the afterglow, you're probably not paying much attention, are you? And if you're both living on campus, it's like, well, you got shoes at home. I have like 17 pairs of shoes, right? I could make that mistake 16 times and still be okay. I mean, I would assume that I'd probably pick up my shoes the next time I went there, but if I kept forgetting my shoes, it's okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Tried to take SS... Yeah, okay. Driving to the wrong state, once again, depends, right? Like, if this is in the States, I've seen some of those freeways. They're extremely confusing. I mean, you know, there's other things to suggest that she might be a little thick, but whatever. Showed up for a class. Forgot about it for the entire semester. Failed because she never showed up. Oh no, signed up for a class. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I think we got to the punchline. Sensible Sam proposed a week ago. Well, I mean... Back in the long ago, when we were a little less mature. We would suggest that there was this triangle, right? There is a triangle of lady, and a lady can be intelligent, attractive, or sane. Pick two. I mean, looks like this guy picked two, right? Also, clearly, she's just not suited to being at college or traveling anywhere. So, I mean, you know, you put a ring on it and you put her in a very protected space, right? Maybe you rope off an area and say, darling, love of my life, please, remain in this area. Please. You have a habit of getting lost. You went to a different state. I'm worried that you're going to forget where we live. That's okay. So the engagement ring is low-jacked, right? So you just won't lose her. I mean, this is okay, but I feel like the level is extremely variable around here. It's almost like, she did like one or two really dumb things. So I need to find some stuff to sort of pick at, right? It's like, if you accidentally claim to be single, that's an accident, I guess. There's some things you need to remind them. Yeah. Hey, think of it. It would be like 41st dates, except for the rest of your life. And I mean, you know, clearly, I mean, it says that Sam is sensible, right? You had to come up with a name for Sam, and you went with the descriptor sensible, right? So clearly Sam has a good head on their shoulders. They know what they're doing. So none of this is a deal breaker. Sam knows what they're doing, and Sam knows what they like. I see no problem. And, you know, it doesn't matter. It's a marriage. It's ephemeral. It's going to last for 10 years, and then they're going to break up, and then she's going to forget that they broke up and come to their house the next day. And then they can start all over again. Okay, so this one is my boss's stepson. Oh, wait, no, it's part 2. Well, Lego Maniac, part 2 is considerably less popular than part 1. So I'm sure it'll be a great read. It's also still 5 years ago, so they're still a child. Great. Oh no, let's see what wacky hijinks this child has gotten up to this time. Way! My boss's stepson is a Kevin to end all Kevins part 2. I'm back with more stories of the now 16 years old Uber Kevin. Come, please, come on. Come back now. Come back now that Kevin's 21. He's gonna come back and just be really embarrassed. Turns out, Kevin's earning 6 figures writing fan fiction about orcs. Didn't think it would happen. Kevin knew all along that orc erotica with swords was going to be extremely popular. So, Kevin is now earning more than me and his father combined, and he's living a happy life. Anyway, I'm back with more stories of the now 16 years old Uber Kevin. For those of you who aren't familiar, it was like 40 minutes ago. We're fine. If you haven't seen this post yet, do yourself a favor and shut up. Shut up, text that isn't moving on the screen. I've been at this job for close to 2 years now, and not a week goes by where I don't hear stories from Bob, my boss, Kevin's stepdad, or Anne, Kevin's mum. Are they their real names? To be honest, I don't know why they share these things with me, because it's really none of my business. I think they're looking for the milk of human empathy and kindness. It's like, please, feel for us. This is what we're dealing with. Please, fix this. To be honest, I don't know what... Okay. But I'm not about to stop them, because it's truly fascinating what Kevin manages to accomplish. Also, just like a pause. You sell new and used aquarium equipment. I don't imagine that you have much else going on. You may as well talk about the funny kid who does weird things. Right. He's still not driving, nor will he be anytime soon. His parents decided that putting him behind the wheel of a 2-ton machine could end up with them being accused of not war crimes. So they told him he wasn't allowed to take a driving test until he gets his grades up. We're safe for the foreseeable future. I mean, that would be pretty impressive. Like, how would you commit a war crime on sovereign soil? Would he have to drive into a military base? Like, accidentally run over an entire platoon of GIs? Does he accidentally drive and suddenly end up in Poland and accidentally annex it because he's in a Jeep? Oh no, Kevin! No! He apparently lost interest in the erotic orc fiction with swords. He's writing a new book that now involves a shape-changing weapon and the apocalyptic wrath of God. Oh, well, that won't be nearly as popular because it's not erotic. And it's not about orcs. And there's no swords. That's all I know, and I'm not volunteering to beta read this one. More like Sigma read it. His parents have had him tested for autism and various other things, and so far it's all come back negative other than mild ADHD. He's on medication for it. Whether he actually takes those meds is up for debate. I'm sticking with my initial analysis of borderline malicious laziness and a stunning lack of common sense. Both of which can be fixed. And, you know, clearly with the disdain that these people are showing for Kevin, why don't they just slip it into his food like you put in dog's medication into the middle of a sausage, right? Just do that. Clearly, he won't notice. Given that he's not driving anytime soon, the thing ADHD, forgetting to take his medication is literally a symptom. Yeah, so you would either have to remind... See, this is when I come back to neglect, right? Like, this feels like these things could be a symptom of neglect. Because whether or not you believe that ADHD is a thing or not is probably not on trial here. But what's more pressing is the fact that all of these things could be fixed, you know? There is like cognitive behavior therapy that could be occurring here to improve. Usually, if someone does have ADHD, one of the things is they can get hyperfixated on something and therefore appear to be lazy, or their attention is so scattered that they can never get any like one task done. So clearly, if it is ADHD, it's going to lead to a lot of this. And as far as common sense goes, that's always the job of the educators and the parents and society as a whole to build this human being into something that is barely functional, so that you can send them off to a white-collar job and they can be a drone for 45 years and then die of a coronary, right? So that way they're not destructive and they're not harming society on a whole. So, once again, you know, I'd be looking at the parents. Clearly they're spending too much time at the aquarium business, right? Yeah! Bam! Frickin' straight facts. Take that! Take that, Bob and Ann! You jerks. Given that he's not... Back to the story. Sorry. I had to get off my soapbox. Let me get back on. I feel more comfortable on my soapbox. Given that he's not driving anytime soon, he's been using his bicycle as his primary means of transportation, and that's going about as well as you'd expect. He was riding his bike through town and went into a store, came back out and saw that his bike had been stolen. His mom had to come pick him up, but by the time she arrived, he realized that he had just forgotten what his bike looked like, and it hadn't been stolen after all. Yes, sorry, I don't feel comfortable if I'm not over 6 feet tall. I feel like less of a person. Someone might use the word manlet. I'm not that short though. That's not that short. Maybe a little lacking in nutrition, but not that short. Short-ish. Esque. modern short. What are you talking about? I'm not insecure about it. Where was I? Oh yeah, guy didn't recognize his own bike. A week later, his bike was actually stolen. He has a bike lock, he just didn't think it was necessary. Or maybe he had a really bad bike. His biological dad bought him a new bike to replace the stolen one. He's blown out the rear wheel 3 times, broken the seat twice, the chain twice, and completely smashed the rear wheel rim, just since the middle of May. I don't know what the date is. Sorry, your content isn't evergreen. This was 5 years ago. Don't worry, May 5 years ago he did this. Since his second bike is now in shambles. Also, sorry, what was this about parental neglect? His biological dad bought him the bike? Not his current father? I think his current father is married to aquariums, to be perfectly frank. You know how he likes them? Very thin, veneered, and glass. That's how he likes them. Wonder what Anne looks like. Since his second bike is now in shambles, he asked Bob and Anne if he could borrow their bikes. Bob said hell no. Anne said sure. Kevin managed to snap the rear axle and somehow broke the rear cassette. What? What is a cassette on a bicycle? What? Sorry, I clearly don't know what bicycles are. Oh, I get it. She has like a boombox on the back of a bicycle and looks like a fish. So she's a plant then. Weird. I gotta say, I'm almost envious of Kevin, as his life is never dull. All I can do is enjoy his Kevinness by proxy and thank my lucky stars that he's not my kid. No one wants Kevin. This is the issue. Nobody wants Kevin. Okay. Kevin borrowed the magnets from half a dozen coral frag racks and promptly forgot where he left them. They're useless without the magnets. We had to order more. Okay, I don't know what I can assume what a coral frag rack is. Sorry, this person is so deep into aquariums, they just assume that everybody knows everything about aquariums. Yeah, no. He found one of Bob's power drills and drilled a bunch of holes in a support beam for the porch. See, once again, Kevin is acting out. Kevin doesn't have enough structure in his life. Kevin doesn't have people that care about him. So Kevin is acting out. We're writing a really sad story. We're writing a really sad fictional story about the neglect of Kevin, some kid on the internet. He dumped an entire 12-ounce fluid ounce can of fish food into one of the tanks. This was at the end of the day, and we didn't notice it till the next morning. The entire shop smelled like roadkill. He's not allowed in the store anymore. Oh, so now he's not even allowed to engage in Bob's job? So he can't even connect even further with his stepfather? Neglect. He got a job as a dishwater at a nearby restaurant and was told not to come back after a week because he had broken so many dishes. He shot himself in the leg with a pellet rifle because he wanted to know what it felt like to get shot, because that's what thugs do. He was fine. He broke a plastic lawn chair and decided to burn it to destroy the evidence. He got found out when the fire pit began belching acrid black smoke everywhere. He went to a week-long youth group retreat a few hours away and forgot to pack any clean clothes. Anne had to drive all the way there with clothes for him. According to Anne, she had packed clothes for him, but he left them all behind because he didn't think that he needed them. He tried to shotgun a can of soda. He managed to spray himself in the face. He tried again the next day with the same results. Yeah, I mean, kid's looking for attention, dude. He just wants to be seen. Kevin wants to be seen. Kevin's even getting othered in this because he's referred to as Kevin and not by his real name. Kevin needs help. Kevin's 21 now, but you can still adopt him, okay? Just adopt Kevin. Nurture him. Find out what Kevin likes. Take an interest in Kevin. And don't just belittle him. Bob bought a 150-gallon pre-formed above-ground pond to keep goldfish... Oh, Bob, seriously. Seriously, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. You already have a wife, Bob. You have a wife and a child you're not taking care of, Bob. Bob. To keep goldfish in during the warmer months. Kevin sat on the side and broke it. Why would you have an above-ground pond? What? That's just asking for it to break. What? Bobbing for misses. Gross. True, but gross. I thought you said Troy McClure was dead, boss. No, I said that he sleeps with the fishes. Stop being coy. Okay. Kevin was bragging to his classmates that he had stolen drugs from his biological dad during a visit and would share them after school that day. A teacher overheard. He got in all sorts of trouble and had the drugs confiscated. They were fish oil capsules. No! This family's far too into fish! Why does it all come back to fish? Stop! Don't! So we'll put fish oil in inverted commas. In the last post, I mentioned how he had been buying cheap cell phones and unsuccessfully hiding them, despite being grounded from technology for failing all of his classes. His parents finally broke down and bought him a very basic flip phone that he could use for calling purposes only. He sold it at a pawn shop. He absolutely refuses to brush his teeth. His parents bought him an electric toothbrush, thinking that it might... Wait, what? That he might like it better than a manual one. He lost it. I mean, there's cries for help, and then there's this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Look, maybe teeth are just too inconvenient. Maybe this lad, this child, this boy, has such a vivid and full life that he just doesn't have time for the minutia of life. Hygiene. You don't have time for hygiene. Taking clothes with you. No, just be nude. Yeah, well, that's why I balked at it. I was so shocked at the punchline. It's like, what? He just didn't want to clean his teeth, clearly. He got banned from the local comic book shop for spilling Mountain Dew everywhere. Like, literally everywhere. He came in with a backpack and a weed gun, and he just sprayed everything. But then I'm asking the question, how is that any different from anybody else who frequents comic book shops? He decided he was going to cook a pork chop on the stove. He forgot about it and nearly caught the house on fire. Bob had cooked the pork chops the night before, and apparently Kevin thought that once the meat gets cold, it somehow reverts to being raw and needs to be cooked again. Once again, I feel like this is a lack of education, but that's also pretty funny. That being said, my brother also almost burnt the house down because he neglected food. But that ain't because he was raised wrong, it's because he was playing video games, which is much better, right? Says the guy streaming on Twitch, who primarily plays video games. Lately, he's been reading all kinds of survival books. He claims he wants to spend a year roughing it in the Canadian wilderness. I'm fairly certain he couldn't even find Canada on a map. And there's people who are much better at camping in the wilderness who have died from it. Right? There are stories. There are very heart-wrenching stories about people who have decided that they need to get away and become naturalists, and then they suddenly end up like desiccated husks in buses. He's absolutely convinced that standing in front of a microwave while it's running will sterilize you. He goes as far as to retreat to the next room while he's nuking his food. Considering your current lineage, it might be best if you don't reproduce, Kevin. I'm just thinking aloud here, but considering your biological father who mainlines fish oil, and your adoptive father who's far too into fish for his own good, I think you need to take a big step back. You should just keep stepping back, my friend. Just keep stepping back. His parents bought a truck a few states away, and they decided to take a long weekend to go pick it up, leaving myself and Matt, a co-worker, to handle the store in that time. No problem, right? Except that they left Kevin at home as well, with a rather long list of explicitly articulated do's and do nots that he was expected to follow. They would have had a better luck convincing a whale to spontaneously evolve into an elephant. He tried to use this parental reprieve to do everything he wanted without consequence. He tried to get into the store's cash drawer. I had the key with me at all times, and even told me that Bob was okay with him taking cash out of the drawer once in a while. He isn't, obviously. I'm sorry, before I read through this laundry list, they really could have just taken the child with them. They didn't want to, clearly. But once again, we're talking the baseline of all of this is just neglect. In this picture that we're painting these two as horribly neglectful parents. So clearly, they just didn't want the child around, because they weren't actually going to pick up a truck. They were just going to SeaWorld. He had a fire roaring in the grill, a shop vac blowing air into the coals, and was trying to melt a metal rod with the heat while using winter gloves to insulate himself. He claimed he was blacksmithing. Again, I promptly shut it down before he caught the house or himself on fire. I went to the store's garage to look for something. Kevin was there and loudly announced, "I'm not doing anything." I hadn't asked. I still have no idea what he was up to. Clearly, he wasn't doing anything. Kevin announced to Matt and I that he was having friends over that night to smoke weed, take pills, and whatnot. I said not a chance. I called Bob. He said abso-fucking-lutely not. I told Kevin, and he said his parents didn't have to know. He tried to bribe me with a few grams of weed. Just a few grams. Just a light dusting of weed. It's like he was seasoning a slightly underdone soup. It's like, here's your marijuana. It was oregano. Kevin and his buddies then tried to hide in the garage after the neighbor left. Matt found them when one of them knocked over a small aquarium and broke it. No! No! I'm sure Bob felt that in his veins. And they ran out through the back door. Bob and Ann skipped half of the plans they had and came home early. Oh, they didn't get to go to SeaWorld. Needless to say, Kevin is in a world of trouble. Edit improved formatting a bit. Well, good for you. A quick update on his shenanigans. He got a job at DQ and got fired after a week for not maintaining a professional demeanor. That's retail speak for he can't keep his mouth shut around the customers. Actually, there's a lot of things you can do for not being professional, right? Sure, I mean, you don't want to talk about things around customers that you shouldn't, but there are many activities you can do where you're lacking in professionalism. As I work around a bunch of fetuses that just can't get their excrement together. And occasionally you have to browbeat them a little bit, okay? It's just done. I have a feeling that considering Kevin's general attitude, I feel like it's going to be difficult for him to be employed in anything where he is around human beings, fish, pieces of metal asking to be forged, oregano. Okay, his bike got stolen again. He failed to lock it up while at work. Again, he's now on bike number 3 this year, and he's already damaged the rear rim twice and bent a part of the frame. I still have no idea how one person can be so hard on a bike. He sliced a finger open because he tried to touch the non-serrated side of a bandsaw blade while it was running. His reasoning was that he didn't think it would hurt because that side of the blade isn't sharp. Okay. Kevin is still Kevining it up. Here are some highlights. He's working at Taco Bell and got written up because he was purposefully making orders wrong. He was leaving off the tomatoes because he doesn't like tomatoes and didn't think anyone else liked them either. Fair. He lost his cell phone. According to Bob, this is the 13th phone Kevin has lost this year. Well, then don't buy him phones. He got busted for trying to buy cigarettes at a convenience store. He's 2 years too young to buy them legally. The manager of the store knows Bob and Ann, so he called them to let them know. Kevin got in trouble. He tried to buy cigarettes from the same store 2 more times since then, with similar results. Autumn hit us like Brannigan's Law, and all the leaves fell at once. Kevin was supposed to mow them into the lawn, but he put it off for a week, and an early snowstorm dumped 16 inches on us. It soon melted, the leaves remained and were now soaked, and Kevin was told that he had to rake them now rather than mow them. He tried to mow them anyway and clogged the mower, then tried to hide the mower and told Bob that he couldn't find the rake. See, this is tricky. Because at this point, do you really feel that maybe Bob and Ann are the stupid ones? Because they don't really seem to be doing much. They're not monitoring him. They're not checking on him to make sure that he's not doing the right things. And they continue to try to make him do things that he is clearly going to find a way to either put off or ruin. Right? This is the June 2 pain box, right? Except you just go, ow, man, putting my hand in that pain box was terrible. Let's do it again. Let's do it for years. Speaking of mowers, earlier in the year when he was supposed to mow the yard, he decided he'd rather not. As I just said, Bob and I watched him open a bottle of water, pour it into the mower's gas tank, then try to start it up. Okay, if you saw him opening up the gas tank, why didn't you stop him immediately? After a minute of trying and failing to start the thing, he came in and told Bob, "Oh darn, the mower won't start. Guess I can't mow today after all." Bob wasn't amused. Look, I don't use the word hate often. It's very difficult to hate something. I feel like there needs to be a very large emotional investment to actually literally hate a thing. Kinda starting to hate these people. Not Kevin necessarily, but... Okay. Kevin is currently taking driver's ed. One of those do-it-at-home internet classes. He's required to have so many hours of class time, and he's discovered that if he starts the lesson and lets it play, while he does anything else, it counts as class time. Shockingly, he's failed the tests at the end thrice now, and planned to take him to get his permit this week, and after he got a whopping 12% on his final test, she decided that it may not have been the best idea. He announced to me that he's been learning all about our government, and once he turned 18, he wanted to run for an office. May the gods have mercy on our souls. I don't know, it sounds like he has the makings of an American politician. Yeah, no, I think he found his niche. Bike enthusiast, amateur blacksmith, sitting member of Congress. Makes sense to me. Is anybody going to have the same kind of feeling as me? I'm looking at it. You can't help but feel for his folks. Oh my god. I'm trying to see if anybody has the same take as me. Why doesn't anyone have the same take as me? Hey, I'm not the outlier here, right? I can't be the outlier. I can't. Why? His parents have the patience of saints. His parents aren't doing anything. OP, your boss and his wife sound like good, patient people. Oh, yeah, sure. I'm really patient. I'm just standing here and watching. Oh, my God. Okay. Now, to be fair, if we look at this, if we take a step back and look at it, we have to also understand that these subreddits attract a very particular kind of people. So these are already people who are going to be pre-programmed to come in with their own particular bias. I like to sort of take a step back and look at it from all angles, but the people who contribute to these places and the people who frequent these places tend to already be of a very particular mold. And this mold is going to be, we hate the stupids. We don't like the soft heads. We're very against them. And clearly we're going to support the people who also don't like the softies by coming to this area where we all go, haha, we're so much more superior than these dumb people. We're not going to do anything though. These human beings are a living trolley problem, right? Oh, no. I'm not going to pull the lever. I'm not going to actually engage in any of this. I'm just going to stand by and watch it because it's funny. I guess for me, the equivalent would be you have this magic power and you're transported into the world of funniest home videos, right? And you have the ability to intervene and stop the toddler from smashing its head against the kitchen table, or stopping the cat from falling 15 foot off and landing on its head, and you just stand there and watch instead. You don't intervene. It's like, I mean, it's funny. It's funny. Clearly, I'm just going to stand back and watch. Yuck. I mean, except for the guy that fed that person glass. That one, no. That dude was 26. Okay, next. Thank you and sorry to Data Laughing. Or Data Laughing. Maybe they're a big fan of Star Trek. My friend tries to divorce Kevin. When we were all younger and dumber, one of my closest friends married the craziest Kevin I've ever met. My friend had just come off a very bad relationship that she was certain was going to end in marriage, when in reality the guy was cheating on her while using her to support his wannabe pro-golfer existence, then dumped her when someone with more money came along. So she was in a bad place. A few months later, Kevin appears. The first time I met Kevin was when the two of them showed up at my apartment to announce their engagement. Since I'd met the previous guy that she was seriously dating just after a month before, I know they couldn't have been seeing each other for very long. Turns out Kevin proposed 5 weeks after their first date. Maybe she was a bit of a Kevin too for saying yes at that point, but like I said before, bad place. It's hard for me to accurately describe Kevin without dipping into being mean, because I never liked him from the first meeting. It was like he really wanted to be one of those hyper-masculine manly men, but didn't quite know how. He liked to take any opportunity to bring up in conversation that he was a black belt. I remember the first time he said it because I asked, "Oh, yeah, in what?" He looked at me like I was an idiot. "In martial arts." "Oh, right, of course." Also, he would also talk at length about how much he worked out. Turns out he didn't actually work out at all. He liked to think himself as a car guy, because he had a sports car he couldn't afford that he treated like his baby. He didn't actually know anything about cars, but he had one. So, car guy. But the thing that really got up my nose about the guy was that he prided himself on how very smart he was. He'd make the most outrageous claims with the most pig-headed certainty. He just knew these things were true, and if you disagreed, even if you showed actual physical proof that he was wrong, he'd just condescendingly tell you that you didn't understand these things like he did, and go on with his idiocy. Just as an example, he once declared that you can't break the law at night. What exactly does that mean? We still don't know. He wouldn't elaborate. As a second example, he had trouble getting a fire going in their fireplace when he was home alone one day. His solution? Mix up some homemade napalm from a recipe he found on the internet. There was a huge disaster, set the kitchen on fire. Luckily, my friend arrived home in time to grab the fire extinguisher. Yet he insisted doggedly that he knew what he was doing, and really, this was the best way to get the fireplace going. And obviously, she just didn't understand because she didn't know as much about this stuff as he did. To be fair, if he set the house on fire, he did make fire. And best doesn't necessarily mean most sensible. Have you seen how much briquettes cost? They're insane. And it's not like anyone would have a newspaper around. Written media is dead. Sorry, I mean, he says they apologize about setting the stage. I don't know, like, I'd categorize most of this as arrogant instead of stupid. I'm waiting for the stupid to happen. Okay, yeah, sure, making homemade napalm might be a little bit... It might be a little bit off, but I wouldn't say that anything's been horribly stupid yet, except for maybe committing to marry someone after 5 weeks. That's pretty dumb. Committing to marry someone at all, it's insane. You should immediately knock off a few points there. Security? Living longer? Companionship? Ridiculous. Okay. Sorry, I know it's a lot of setting the stage. One last important thing to know about Kevin before we get round to the divorce I promised. Kevin was a religious nut. I don't mean he was crazy because he was religious. I've known many wonderful, intelligent, religious people in my lifetime. Kevin was a crazy person who used religion as his modus operandi. He would randomly proclaim, "The Bible says," to support whatever other crazy thing he'd stated. Most people let him get away with it because, hell, the Bible's really long and it says a lot of crazy excrement. Who could say that somewhere in there it didn't actually say whatever insane thing he was claiming? And besides, who wants to confront crazy? Even when the claim was something insane like, "The Bible says that birds are of the devil." I think it does? In some places? Maybe? I think it might. Or at the very least, it's talking about particular birds. Yes, this is the thing he said one day when he was angry at birds for some reason. I was raised going to church twice a week once upon a time, so I knew a little bit about that particular book, but I had a pathological need when I was younger to call people on their bullshit. So we often butted heads. Unsurprisingly, when confronted, Kevin could never actually tell you where in the Bible it says you shouldn't take the first slice of pizza. Yep, he said that too. But it didn't decrease his certainty that it was in there. Look, he just knows that Jesus has his back, right? If you know that Jesus has your back, you're going to claim whatever you can, because JC gonna come down and smite someone if you don't get that first slice. Yeah, that's reasonable. That's perfectly reasonable. So, as anyone but the two of them could have predicted, the marriage didn't last. He became increasingly erratic, forbidding her from speaking to friends, including me, because the Bible says so. Domestic abuse, because the Bible says she has to do whatever he says, and that he's allowed to beat her if she doesn't. Stuff like that. Ugh. So she left, good, and here is where the wackiest Kevining begins. She gets a lawyer to initiate divorce proceedings, and the first thing that comes up is the house. They bought the house from his parents. More precisely, she bought the house from his parents. He had terrible credit. As a result, his name wasn't on anything related to the house. He also had no job, meaning that he'd never made a single payment on the house. As far as she saw it, the house was hers. His mother, who came into town to support her son through the misfortune, didn't see it that way. They declared that the house still belonged to the mother and threw all of my friend's stuff on the lawn. Friend's lawyer gets a preliminary hearing date set up to determine the initial dispersion of important stuff like the house, at least until the divorce proceedings all get sorted. So Friend's lawyer says to Kevin, "Have your lawyer contact me and set up a meeting before the hearing." A meeting is set up, and who arrives at the lawyer's office but Kevin, dressed in jeans and a windbreaker, claiming to be Mr. Steele, the lawyer. I shit you not. He decided to be his own lawyer, and he'd call himself Mr. Steele. Not his name. Ha! I don't know how the initial meeting went, but when the time for the hearing came, Kevin was once again acting as his own attorney. This time, I can only assume he wasn't working under a pseudonym. Keep in mind, the rest of this is totally going off of her story to me immediately after the hearing. Kevin and his mother arrive 20 minutes late, not at all dressed for court, casual jean and shirts. The first thing he says when he walks in, "Can I approach the bench?" "Why?" the judge asks. "Because I have some receipts." So, Friend gets called to the stand. Her lawyer asks a bunch of questions illustrating just how crazy Kevin is and how bad things have gotten about the house and stuff. Then Kevin, since he's the lawyer, gets to cross. What? His first question, "Is it not true that you were beaten as a child?" Her lawyer, "Objection." The judge, "Sustained." The question had nothing to do with anything. Other questions included, "Is it not true that you were seeing a psychiatrist and on medication for depression?" No, it's not true. She never had seen a mental health professional, not sure if he thought it might trick her into lying on that, or if he was so crazy that he actually thought it was true. He asked a bunch of other ridiculous questions, which her lawyer let him ask because they were completely out of nowhere and just helped prove to the judge how nuts he was. Then he takes the stand. Her lawyer gets him to admit to pretty much everything they said he did, because it was all true. But he refuses to give specific answers to some of the more serious questions. Not no, just doesn't want to give specifics. Then he gets to make a statement. His statement is how he doesn't want a divorce. And also, she was abusive to him, such as pinching him once when they were on the highway. Okay. Also, the Bible says that she's his wife, so she has to do whatever he wants, and that divorce is bad. How can the judge make them get a divorce when the Bible says not to? JC is going to come down, shining light on a cloud, descend from the heavens. Apparently, he went on this vein for a while. She just gave me a couple of the highlights. Needless to say, the initial hearing did not go his way. She ended up getting the house in the short term and a protective order against him after he admitted in court to his violence against her. The Bible says it's okay, though. After this, he dragged his feet at every point of the process. For more than 6 months, he wouldn't show up to things or would refuse to sign things until the last possible moment. He moved to a different city and apparently joined the Army Reserve. When Friend found out about this, her lawyer contacted someone there to point out that he wasn't allowed to be around weapons or something like that because of the protective order. Legal stuff that's over my head. The lawyer even contacted him and offered to drop the protective order so he could stay in if he'd just agreed to finish the divorce proceedings in a timely manner. Kevin refused. In the end, he got pretty much nothing and quietly disappeared. Yeah, delusional. Less stupid, more delusional. Maybe narcissistic? It's, once again, I think there has to be a level of sophistication when discussing people, because somebody that's delusional isn't necessarily stupid. Like, clearly this was a manipulative person who, at least to some degree, got what they wanted for an extended period of time. A lot of abusers tend to be manipulators as well, by trying to block her off from any of her friends and support group. He was clearly trying to control her. And I imagine that it's a pretty simple thing for narcissists to believe that people become chattel rather than human beings. And when you have the divine in your corner, clearly everything you do is correct. Fucking. So yeah, I don't know if they were stupid. It's certainly... What is the phrase? Only a fool has themselves as a lawyer. Much like surgeons don't operate on family members, lawyers don't defend themselves in court. But clearly, narcissists do. Yikes. Are we still enjoying ourselves? I'm not sure we're enjoying ourselves as much anymore. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Never mind. We've bounced back. Thank you and apologies to We Are Destroyers. Saw this on Facebook. Lady swears her 3-month-old Pomeranian will grow into a black lab because she has papers that say so. So this was actually an image post on Facebook, but can't post images here, so I'll copy it word for word. I think it counts. True story. A client just called for a price of a bath and nails. I asked what kind of dog. She says, I don't know what it is now, but when it grows up, it's going to be a black lab. I was dumbfounded. Literally. I asked her how old it was, and she said it was 3 months. So I'm thinking maybe 20 pounds max, so I tell her maybe $20, $25. Swear to God, the lady brings Red in, and here's a Pomeranian. Sovereign citizen will defend themselves. Bit late. Clearly a bit late. Look, if you got JC in your corner, you're going to defend yourself. Because he's going to come down from heaven above, and he's going to come down swinging, okay? He's going to flip over every single piece of furniture in the place, and he knows how because he's a carpenter. And he's very upset. Very upset. The lady brings Red in, and here's a Pomeranian. A Pom. I said, sorry, but this is a Pomeranian. And she tells me, well, I know it's going to be a black lab because I have papers at home. JC's going to flip those desks so hard, they're going to land upright and people are going to clap. And he's going to be, that's right, you guys all drink my blood. I pulled up pictures of labs and Poms on the computer, and I still think she believes it's going to be a black lab. I'm going home to drink wine. Bam! Blood of Christ. Right. Now, okay. I think maybe for the first time, we have found somebody who is legitimately stupid. It took a while. It took 1 hour and 40 minutes, but I think we finally found someone that's legitimately dumb. Maybe Pokemon rot their brain, right? Maybe they were waiting for it to hit level 17 and then for the music to start. Bump, 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 bump. And then it evolves into a black Labrador. Clearly. And I mean, to be fair, like when an animal is a baby, when it is a stupid, naked, wriggly baby, that thing could turn into anything, right? But I think when you've got the little yap dog, you don't think it's going to turn into big dog. It doesn't go into cocoon and it doesn't go into a chrysalis and then it splits open after 5 months and then a black lab pops out. You don't have a friend for life. You have a little yapping thing with teeth. Okay, well that was nice. Why can't more of them be like that? Why is this one not the top one? Oh, that's right. It's because a lot of these people are just kind of hateful, so they're more interested in making fun of a neglected child or poking fun at a lady who's a little thick. I mean, the glass eater was still, Yeah, glass eater and evolving dogs. Okay, let's go on to the next one. From the Filthy Dill. I think I married a Kevin. Thank you and apologies to the Filthy Dill. I may have married a Kevin. He initially doesn't strike you as a Kevin because he had a very successful career working for a government alphabet agency. Ah, yes. Alphabet agency is like the CIA or the FBI or an MAP, you know, alphabet. However, some of the things he believes. Once this man gets a notion in his head, you cannot remove it with dynamite. If his mother or his teacher sister Mary Godzilla, Wyatt, told him something over 50 years ago, then that was revealed truth and could not be changed. Oh, you'll literally call it... What did I say about, like, hateful people? Sister Mary Godzilla. Okay, settle down. Sister MSG told him men have one less rib than women. It has to be that way because God took Adam's rib to make Eve. I had to show him side-by-side images of male and female skeletons in a medical encyclopedia and make him count the ribs before he believed that sister may have been mistaken. Well, I mean, one dude had one less rib. And everybody knows that Prince had a lot of less ribs. Because they were just superfluous and in the way. They were definitely in the way. Sister also told him that plate tectonics was only a theory. And since theory means guess, there wasn't any truth to it. Okay, well, they feel like they're fundies, right? It feels like this dude was raised as a fundy. So a lot of this, like, dogma is going to seep into the brain a lot easier. I don't know. I think that a lot of these things end up hard-baked. Like, here's a stupid one. Like, when you think of things like this, I also then tangentially attach it to something like the Mandela effect, right? Where, as a child, you will end up misremembering something because you've got stupid child brain, and all children are idiots. So, for the longest time, and I'm going to admit this, and I'm going to feel ashamed, for the longest time, I thought that coloring books were called coloring in books. Because it was an activity where you colored inside the lines in a book. So I thought it was a coloring in book, right? I thought that with my stupid child soap brain, made sense instead of just being a coloring book, right? Because a coloring book didn't sound right. And, you know, until I looked at one of these things and saw what it was called, I then went, oh, because, you know, like my logic back then was the idea of coloring within the lines was something that teachers did to children, not to box them in, but to improve their hand-eye coordination, right? Because children, as well as being stupid, are really shit at everything. So they need to be trained to have that hand-eye connection. And one of the ways you can do that engages a child is to make them color in areas, right? So once again, I thought it was a coloring in book because that made sense. Much in the same way that if some, you know, some figure of authority said, well, men have one less rib because religion, and I was religious boy instead of being, you know, atheist boy. You did a lot of that? Yeah, well, let's assume that you have that, like, ancient knowledge and we'll move past that. What I'm saying is that it makes sense that a lot of these things become hard to question because, one, you learn it in childhood, and two, usually someone in a position of power will give you this knowledge, and you're not questioning authority at that point. Right? So you're not questioning authority, so it makes sense. And it's, you know, it's not because you've got soft child brain and don't have the ability to analyze. So I have a feeling that a lot of this is going to be that kind of thing. People who grew up with religion doesn't understand how atheists can even think that it's wrong. Exactly. It's because it's a kind of indoctrination. Right? And that's fine. I mean, religion served a very specific purpose for an extended period of time, and it stopped everybody from killing and Minecrafting each other. Right? That's kind of what it was there for. It was a base set morality kit that was easy to just shove into human beings to make sure that they didn't just listen to their freaking limbic system and go around consuming each other. So religion has its uses. Like, clearly this Kevin was a successful working human being. Just because they thought that dudes had one less rib and could therefore auto-fillate a little easier didn't necessarily mean that he was a worse person or a stupid person. Anyway. Anyway, let's get back on the track. Let's get back on the track so that we can choose whether we run over one person or 5 people. Okay, You know how South America and Africa look like they would fit together like puzzle pieces? Sister told him that was just a coincidence. God made the world the way it is, and the bits didn't go floating around like ducks on a pond. Yeah, he's not dumb, he's just not educated in that way. Exactly. And once again, you know, there's no reason that South America and Africa could look like they fit together, and it's just a coincidence. Coincidences are everywhere. Theory equals guess also shot down the theory of evolution, the theory of relativity, and a bunch of other science things that didn't agree with the Bible. See, here we go. This is what the Bibli is what they butt heads over. But now we're going to have a whole bunch of people in the audience that are saying, they're dumb because religion, stupid. Duh. Everybody knows that it's just as likely that there's spaghetti Alfredo in space. Like, come on, stop. However, he seems to have come up with a whole bunch of stuff on his own. Okay, now maybe we'll peel off this. Okay, so there can't be a volcano under Yellowstone Park because they wouldn't be dumb enough to put a national park on top of a volcano. Okay, they're very patriotic as well. Very patriotic. Oh dear. Medical terminology time. Vaginas are just inside-out penises. So a woman who was using a tampon has to remove it to pee. Well, okay. When you burn a candle, only the wick burns. The wax just runs down the side of the candle holder. He had no explanation as to what happens to the wax in a candle jar. Meat is not the muscle tissue of animals, but something else called the flesh. He did not explain where the muscles go if meat is this mysterious flesh. Okay, I'm starting to lose faith. There is a volcano, I've seen it. There's baking soda vinegar and red food coloring and everything. Man, they really shouldn't allow kids to just make volcanoes wherever the hell they want, should they? Has chat crashed? Sorry, I'm looking at my feed. What the hell's going on there? Am I just really delayed today? Or did chat crash? Sorry, you're gonna have to just have vaginas on the screen for a while. You can deal with it, you're adults. Oh, okay, no, it just doesn't display correctly. I think maybe this weekend I need to fix my chat feed on the stream. I'll get around to it. Maybe just be more concise, and then the whole message will appear on chat. This is clearly not my fault. This is everybody else's fault but me. Vaginas are inside-out penises. I trust this dude now. My chat in OBS was fucked last night. Concise enough? Yes, it fit. Yeah, you did it. Woo! Congratulations. Brevity is the soul of wit. Now, excuse me as I talk at length for 3 hours. Okay, hold on. Okay. Meat also only comes from mammals. Beef is meat and pork is meat, but chicken and turkey are not meat, nor is fish. This is one of those, like, religious things, right? This is a religious thing. This is like, you on Sundays you can't eat like red meat. You can only eat the meat, white meat, right? That's a thing. That's a thing. This is just another religious thing. I think that like referring to meat as flesh as well is probably also kind of religious, maybe tangentially religious. I don't know about the vanishing wax though, and you know, it's like, well, of course vaginas are inside out penises. It's like you put slot A in tab B. How do you put a slot in a tab? Look, it's been a while, okay? Cows just spontaneously start giving milk when they reach adulthood. Having a calf every year to start the process has nothing to do with it. On the other hand, hens must have sex with roosters before they can lay eggs. Look, the dude wasn't in the biological section of the alphabet company in the government, okay? Clearly, he didn't, he wasn't a coroner or anything, okay? Okay, that the clear button on the oven stops the timer. It does not. It turns off the oven and that's all it does. I have made him start the timer and then punch the clear button. See? The timer is still going. He tries to use the clear button to turn it off. We've only had this oven for 20 years. Lady, he just doesn't want to cook. He's not dumb, he's playing you. He doesn't want to do domestic chores. You're the dummy. The microwave and the toaster oven are basically the same appliance. And since you can put plastic things in the microwave, you can use them in the toaster oven as well. He only did this twice though, since I really yelled at him the second time. He does seem to have grasped no metal in the microwave though, so I guess this is a plus. Well, duh, it just clears the heat out of the oven and microwave. And toaster oven. Once again, he doesn't want to cook. This has nothing to do with him being dumb. It's like, look, it's just a more creative way of saying, oh, but dear, I'm no good at doing the ironing. You always complain that I'm no good at oh no, I'm sorry I'm not good at cooking food. Oh, oopsie doopsie. Yeah, you're being played, lady. See, he's just pretending. He's just pretending to be a religious fundy. He just doesn't want to do domestic chores. Sometimes he has to figure things out for himself. My dad would say, you can tell him and you can tell him, but some folks have just got to pee on the electric fence for themselves. How very specific, father. Take the top rack of... Oh no! Hey, my theory. Take the top rack of the dishwasher, for instance. The section on the right-hand side is about half an inch wider than all of the other sections. That makes this the ideal section for cups, because they just fit. I told him this. I made him put a cup in the right-hand section and see if it fits. And then I had him put a cup in the other section, and it plainly did not fit. After a week later, he came to me and said, I figured out that the right-hand section is wider than the others, so that's where we should put the cups. And by we, I mean you. And this evening's Kevinisms. Chopped is the same as sliced. He was going to a church picnic and had volunteered to bring sliced tomatoes and lettuce and onions for the hamburgers. He asked me to chop all of these things for them. Not slice, chop. I had to explain the difference. I mean, semantics. Once again, he doesn't want to do domestic chores. He doesn't want to do anything in the kitchen. This man is allergic to the kitchen. It's like, oh, whoopsie doopsie. What chopped, sliced? I don't know. I'm just a silly guy. I guess you're gonna have to do everything in the kitchen and not me. Right? Because these people are clearly elderlies. He doesn't know culinary terms. Of course he doesn't know culinary terms. He doesn't want to be in the kitchen. And see, here we go again. That the volume of a medium-sized bowl is exactly the same as that of a smaller bowl. Oh, darling, you asked me to get a medium bowl and put the egg wash on the schnitzel tonight, but oh no, the egg wash don't fit. You do. This is a long-standing confusion, actually. I cannot tell you how many times... What? Huh? I explained to save cabinet space, you put the small bowls inside the medium bowls, which go inside the large bowls. You do not try to stack a medium-sized bowl on top of a small bowl. This man who can pack a moving truck tighter than Marilyn Monroe's girdle cannot grasp this simple concept. Or maybe instead of a concept, it's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for... The dude just doesn't want to do any domestic chores. Okay, I'm gonna see if anybody... Okay. Yeah, there's someone already immediately mentioning the religion. That's fine. I'm trying to see if... Does anybody make this connection? Has anybody made this connection? Is anybody... Please. For a subreddit that's supposed to be intelligent people, these people are really thick. Yeah, once again, you people don't get it. You don't get it. You people don't get it. Why don't any of you get it? Alright, no. Very intelligent subreddit, very smart people, all thick as bricks. Alright, that one was pretty inoffensive. Thank you. Thank you for being inoffensive. Kevin is not the father. Oh, God. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you, and apologies to Sale Desire. Kevin is not the father. You know it. I know it. Kevin doesn't get it. If y'all read my previous post on here, I didn't, sorry. I had a high school, it wasn't as popular. I had a high school friend who wasn't, ellipses, the brightest crayon in the box. This story ended with him living with his heroin-addicted girlfriend, who's pregnant with his child. That's what I thought. I haven't spoken much to Kevin since he had gotten expelled from school, and our relationship faded into only Facebook updates on each other's lives. Wait, so is he a Kevin because he's got, like, poor decision-making skills, or what? Like, I don't know why this man is a Kevin. I guess we have to read on. They didn't do it in the right order. You're supposed to tell me what made them a Kevin, and then the Kevinism that you're talking about. I have no background. I haven't spoken much to Kevin since he had gotten expelled from school, and our relationship faded into only Facebook updates on each other's lives. The other day, I was speaking to a friend, who we'll call Sarah, that still keeps in contact with Kevin. He got brought up in conversation, mostly laughing about the ridiculous things he did in school that we're not going to tell you about. And then I asked about what he was up to. God damn it, why are they going through the George Lucas storytelling method? You can tell Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin were friends because they talk about how they did things where they were friends, but they won't actually mention it and we won't show it happen. You just have to assume that they're friends now. Thanks, George! Okay. Now, here's something I didn't mention in my original post. Back in high school, Kevin vowed himself to celibacy. He didn't want to have sex before marriage. Also, despite how strung out his current girlfriend is, the only drug Kevin ever used was marijuana. For just a couple of grams. I didn't think he had mentioned it. I didn't really think of mentioning it in my last post because I figured he might have changed his mind and had sex with his girlfriend. Sarah, you know the baby's not even his. Me. Wait, seriously? Sarah, yeah, he's a virgin. Me, confused because he posts on Facebook all the time about how he's happy and becoming a father. Does he know? Sarah shakes her head. Nope, he legitimately thinks he got her pregnant. Sarah let me have a moment, just to see the astonishment on my face. She went on to tell me that when Kevin first told her his girlfriend was pregnant, she asked him when did they start having sex. Kevin said he never did. However, they do perform oral. They just have a conversation. They're just talking to each other, right? It's just... Kevin believes that when his girlfriend swallowed, it impregnated her with his child. Sarah and a few others tried to explain to him that's not how it works, but he's either just love-struck or just... Kevin. There had been a speculation that the true father is a guy who graduated a few years before us. He is black. Kevin is white. His girlfriend is white. She's about 4 months pregnant. I'll update you in a few months. Update! Wow, you'll really want the update. Thankfully, I have one. I wanted to make sure I got all my facts straight before writing this. Kevin and I have spoken a little bit, but we're not as close as we were in school, and he's a sweet guy, so I wanted to word this so I'm not completely downgrading him. He's a very sweet person, and I genuinely feel bad for him. Also, it's almost midnight, and I have to get up in 5, so please excuse errors. Or just sorry, you could wait a day. Come back with a clearer mind. Just no, that's fine. It has to happen now. Now, we demand. How many years ago is this? 5 years ago. Now, tell us. Okay. So, before I give the results, I need to talk about what has happened over the past 4 months. Kevin's mum and dad are extremely close, and she told him that she was making Kevin take a paternity test when the baby is born. She wanted it during the pregnancy, but Kevin's girlfriend refused. Finally, Kevin did get suspicious about how hostile his girlfriend was being, and they got a court order. At this point, Kevin had... Why did they need to... Did they go to court and explain the situation? Like, did anybody approach this from a sensible manner? We don't need to spend money. We don't need money on... Guys, we don't need to... Okay, never mind. No, that's fine. Look, you use money how you like, okay? It's not mine to say. 5 years ago. Okay. At this point, Kevin had kicked her out of his apartment until he could confirm the child was his, and she moved in with some random guy. Kevin still provided her with money and rides. But not those kind of rides. Because that's grody. I don't know all the details involving the court or the paternity test. I didn't want to be invasive. It sounds like she wasn't wanting to get a test, so he needed to do a court order. Well, I mean, I understand that, but they've also established that he never had intercourse with her. There was no tab A slot B situations. He didn't put his penis into her inside out penis, so a baby couldn't have happened between the two. Okay, look, but Kevin's a really sweet guy, okay? Kevin's a really sweet guy. He's a really sweet guy. Okay. But long story short, about a few weeks ago, Kevin's now ex-girlfriend gave birth to a little baby girl. She was white, but Kevin is not the father. Kevin's mum told my dad, who told me and other friends, confirmed. I didn't want to intrude on Kevin since I know it's hard for him, but I told him. Doesn't matter. Okay, hold this up. I keep losing my spot. Doesn't matter if she put him on the birth certificate, it's nearly impossible to get out of legal responsibilities. See, Dozer, that's why you're here, is I don't know the minutia of the way that the United States works. I don't get it. I don't understand. So thank you for elucidating me. I appreciate it. But who are they going to put on the birth certificate if it proves that he's not the father? It doesn't prove who the father is. So, do you just get unknown put on your birth certificate? Like, it's gonna have mother, Ms. ex-girlfriend Kevin, father, question mark? It literally says unknown. That's pretty messed up. That's a Pokemon. I didn't want to intrude on Kevin since I know it's hard for him, but I told him I was sorry and tried to cheer him up a little. I don't know who the father is. I don't even think his ex-girlfriend does. The ex-girlfriend still claims Kevin is the father and is a deadbeat who doesn't want to be a good father. I and a few others called her out on her numerous lied Facebook posts, but was then blocked. Kevin's slowly pulling himself back together, and I think he's doing a lot better. That's crazy. He definitely feels like a dumbass. I'm commenting on the chat. Not this being crazy. He definitely feels like a dumbass. Sorry, dumbass. But he's doing good. The other day we decided to FaceTime and he was trying to remove jammed toast from the toaster with a butter knife. So, you know, there's that. I stopped him from continuing to do it. No, see, Kevin was in a bad place. Kevin isn't actually dumb. He was just deluding himself, and now he's trying to install Roblox on his toaster. But it's good that you were there to intervene. That's very good. Congratulations. You saved somebody from having to play Roblox. Roblox? Roblox. Roblox. Sorry, I'm not like 3 years old, so I don't know how to pronounce that game. So maybe it was more... Perhaps it was more descriptive on how Kevin was a Kevin in the previous stars. I imagine if you don't know how babies are made, you could still be quite young. Roblox. Thank you. Thank you. Now the children will think that I'm hip, that I can pronounce Roblox. Sadly, they don't know how to get through the adult filter on my Twitch stream. Yes! I wouldn't want to hurt their little feelings by calling them stupid idiots that aren't very good at anything because they're children. They should know that, but, you know, sometimes it's hard. Also, they're amoral sociopaths, so they'll dox me, find me, and kill me in my sleep. Okay. I guess I don't really have a lot to say about this because it wasn't very... It didn't go into details, but also I know that children can have really stupid ideas about where children come from and how babies are made. Once again, this is an education thing. That's why they do it in school. That's why parents have to sit children down and have really awkward conversations. Maybe less so now in the days of modernity and easy access to the internet. But perhaps previously, I think I was watching some pink woman on YouTube, and she believed that children were conceived by breathing in the air from boys. So whenever she would move from class to class, she would literally hold her breath. As I said, children are really stupid. And don't deserve to be on the Kevin sub forum. They just don't deserve it. It's not their fault they're dumb. It's everybody else's. Okay. Thank you and apologies to Smoke_Water. How not to ask a girl to the sweetheart dance. Oh, sorry. I guess this is sweetheart dance. I had to localize it. Okay. Some of you are living the dream right now. In high school. What? That sounds like a nightmare. Are we back in high school, guys? Pass. All the dances, the fear of asking that one person to the dance. Friends providing... Oh, they were being sarcastic. Friends providing all kinds of advice. Some good. I am. High five. Some good, some bad. And some advice. Sorry, I've got to do something. Sorry, Australia is currently trying to kill us with the climate, so the air conditioner is on and the door was just softly bouncing. So I needed to prevent the door from dooring. I could have closed it, but it's already reasonably sticky in here, so I'd rather not. I'm basting in my own moisture. It's disgraceful. Why did we choose to be these horrible meat creatures? I didn't have a vote. Okay. Right. Some good, some bad, and some advice that are never meant to even be considered. But this wouldn't be a story about Kevin if they followed all the good advice, right? Nope. This is the story about my good friend Skip, who is a Kevin through and through. 40 today, my prediction. Yes, that would be 40 degrees centigrade or Celsius, which is far too many degrees Fahrenheit. What is that, about 108, 112? Once again, I really need to learn these things. Okay. So, skip. No, once again, no, if you put a degree there, it could be degrees Fahrenheit or degrees Celsius. It could be Kelvin. Okay, so we're unfortunately, once again, this could be the person's real name. The conversion between Celsius and Fahrenheit are scuffed. I know. That's why it's hard to, like, all you really remember is like 100 is pretty hot. 36 is like freezing, and then everything between there is just like a crapshoot. It's like, what's the temperature today? It's like 64, maybe? I don't know. I think there's a formula, but I'm not going to run through that formula in my head every time. You expect me, an Australian funny man on the internet, to do maths? Like unsolicited mathematics? Pardon me, no. Excuse me? I have to feel about this person whose good friend was name dropped and then called a Kevin, instead of just referring to them as Kevin. Anyway, Skip, who is also Kevin but is also Skip, had a major crush on a girl who I will call Sally, because I have more respect for Sally than I do for Skip. Sally was that girl who had all the right things. Oh, okay, we're about to find out what all the right... Everyone, take out a notebook. Get a piece of paper. We're going to learn what the right things are in a lady. Okay? We're going to learn. Great hair, check. Amazing personality, check. And she loved it when guys were super creative when they would ask her out on dates. Clearly the most important part of a personality. The more creative, the more you had her attention. It was getting close to, I mean, that's just ego there, right? It was getting close to Valentine's Day. Not Valentine's Day. Time for the dance we called the Sweethearts Ball. Skip desperately wanted to ask Sally to the dance, but couldn't come up with a creative enough way to ask her. Myself and our friend were popping off suggestions while at lunch. Me? Dude, you could always send her some roses and say, my heart would be like these roses, in full bloom and full of life, if you go to the Sweethearts with me. Friend 1. No, dude, send her a bag of M&Ms and say, it would be so sweet if you would go to the Sweethearts with me. Friend 2. This is where the problem starts. Dude, you should toilet paper her car and say, it would wipe me out if you went to the Sweethearts with me. Friend 3. Oh my god, this person has so many friends. What's it like? Dude, that's stupid. Why not just pour... Oh no, I know. I knew exactly where this was going as soon as it said pour. Why don't you just pour a heart shape on her lawn with gasoline and light it on fire and say my heart would go up in flames if you went to the Sweet Heats with me? Why did you misspell it there? Seriously? Toilet paper dude. No, just walk up and say, I'm shy, I'm bashful, but I could overcome all of this if you went to the Sweethearts with me. Skip, listening to all of this, had his mind clamped around the one thing that was mentioned. I'm sure at this point you have already figured it out. Yes, he's doing all of them. He's going to put a bag of M&Ms on the car. He's going to toilet paper the car. He's going to push the car onto the lawn, and then he's going to pour gasoline all over it and set it on fire. Also roses. He'll hold the roses, though. You wouldn't want to burn the roses. That wouldn't make any sense. This was all on a Friday. Now, none of us were present when Skip asked her, however, we did see the aftermath. Here's the events that followed. Monday. Sally avoided Skip, like, he's a psycho avoided him. Tuesday. Skip starting to behave irregular, very nervous and looking over his shoulder. Wednesday. Skip's name is called over the intercom system before class starts. Wednesday. About 10 minutes later, about 10 minutes later, principal's office called myself and a couple of friends. We are told to sit outside the office. We hear a loud conversation inside. Me. Dude, what the hell did Skip do? Friend 1. Dunno. I'm not sure how we're involved here. Friend 2. He did something stupid, I'm sure. Me. Dude, do you think he did the toilet paper thing? Friend 2. No, this is something bigger. Friend 1. Our names had to be dropped sometime, dude. Me. It's kind of freaking me out. About this time, Sally walks into the office, smirk on her face. She says, have they told him yet? All of us totally confused. Friend 1, told him what? That's when the door opens. Skip comes out, handcuffed, crying his eyes out, repeating over and over again, sorry, I'm so sorry. It was then Sally walks up to him, gives him a huge hug. Oh, by the way, yes, I will go to the sweethearts ball with you. Our jaws just drop. We're thinking, WTF just happened. They uncuff him. He has the WTF look as well. The fire marshal then walks out laughing. Fire marshal. It was her idea. I couldn't refuse my little girl. However, you ever set fire to my lawn again, I'll kick your ass. You will come and fix it. Fire marshal, and you three, stop putting ideas into his head. He will clearly do anything you guys tell him to. That was the day we found out. Sally's father was the fire marshal in our county. He and the sheriff gave him a tongue lashing for setting fire to his front yard with a heart-shaped burning in the grass, and a sign to the door saying, my heart will go up in flames if you went to the sweethearts with me. Wait, not the sweet heats? He didn't even do it correctly. It was a really good dance. We all had a ton of fun. Skip and Sally have been happily married for 23 years now. Arson. Arson's the answer. All you lonely hearts out there, burn things. Just burn them. Clearly it works. Clearly it works. Maybe Sally just likes them dumb. We did it, guys. And we've doxed them, maybe. Maybe if Skip's his real name. So if you know any middle-aged people who are happily married somewhere in the States, this is how it happened. Arson. So, chat, what have we learned? If you like someone, set things on fire. Clearly. Now, okay, hold on. Before we go into the peanut gallery, what do we expect to find in there? My guess is there's just going to be a lot of people gushing. Gushing. Oh, no, you've got more Skip stories. Okay, it worked out. It's good. They liked it. Nice ending. Cute couple. Yeah, I mean, what's expected? It's what's expected. Very normie. Very normie. Very disappointed. Once again, they're kids. They're kids, right? So saying that peer pressure is something that people don't get affected by would be stupid. Clearly it is. And children routinely make poor decisions. That's what they're supposed to do. Preferably not ones that set things on fire, but also, I suppose, things that set things on fire. Look, I mean, come on. Everybody knew that one kid, right? Everyone had that one kid. Maybe their family was a little bit more in dire straits. Maybe they were like the destructive Kevin, right? The destructive Kevin that no one's paying attention to. I had a friend like that. Once at his house, he tried to make a makeshift pipe bomb, which failed to ignite multiple times. And he continued to try to ignite it. All the while, I was behind the thickest tree in the vicinity. I wasn't goading him on, but I also wasn't stopping him, because I was also a stupid child. Pipe bombs here! Yeah, I think we would have needed a bit of adrenaline. But he still had all of his fingers the last time I saw him. And he wasn't imprisoned the last time I saw him. But you know, unmonitored children can do some dumb things, and peer pressure will make children do things they probably wouldn't otherwise. And the anarchist's cookbook, you know, it was just sort of around and everyone had access to it. So of course you try to make pipe bombs. And remember, Billy, if Alex asked you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? I mean, the answer is always going to be, I would strongly consider it. If you're a child. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, the user was deleted. Their mum found out. Their mum found out, guys. Oh no. Deleted, got killed. By their mom. Thank you to, for this particular one. My mom, Kevin. My dad and I were downstairs in the living room where the landline was kept. The landline rang and my mom, 5-foot-tall, chubby Asian lady, comes barreling down the stairs at top speed. The phone stops ringing. She goes back upstairs. A minute later, the same thing. Phone rings. Kevin bolts down the stairs, phone stops, goes back upstairs. This time audibly annoyed by the mystery caller. After this happens for the third time in 10 minutes, we ask her what the hell was going on. Turns out she was unknowingly calling the landline from her new cell phone. Then, upon hearing the phone ring, she was hanging up her call and running downstairs to grab the phone. We haven't been able to figure out why she dialed the landline number in the first place. She didn't have an answer for that one. When was it? 6 years ago. Okay, so once again, we're stopping and we're putting out a little investigator's cap, right? We now have that classic Sherlock Holmes silhouette. So we were thinking about it, and it's like, clearly who was phone? Well, mum was phone, or at least mom was phone. It was 6 years ago, so at that point, in 2018, mobile phones have been around for a while. Also, it was her new cell phone. So clearly, chubby Asian lady mum already had a phone previously. This was the first time she's done this, where she effectively prank called herself. Okay, I know why this account was deleted now. Is mum here was suffering from a mental illness that they hadn't realized yet, and after it happened, they felt really embarrassed. This was the first sign. This was the first sign that she was going downhill. No one really thought much of it at the time. They thought, it's a funny little anecdote that we'll just share with the internet. They're not laughing anymore. It's not funny anymore. What have you done? How could you? But seriously, who was phone? Okay, cool, next. Someone with a furry. Alcuna, thank you and apologies. I'm so sorry that your icon is a furry. This particular tale of woe is called He Wants to DNA Test Her Kids. What? Wait. Her kids. Okay. I think we might be in for a little bit of a ride here, folks. Once again, natural language processing. Her kids. Not their kids. Her kids. Right. Because they're not... Never mind. Let's just read. Let's read on. So, ellipses. I can't even completely wrap my brain around this, Kevin. But when my friend Sage... Perhaps it's Sage. Let's go with Sage. Sage told me this story. I just had to get her permission to post it here. She gave it, so here we go. Fair warning, I fear the number of IQ points that may be lost in reading this. Ellipses. Don't worry, guys. You're experiencing this through the filter of me, and I've got plenty of IQ points to spare. Sage started dating Kevin about 2 years before this incident. Things seemed to be going all right between them. Incorrect all right. She told me he was a bit of a derp and sometimes incredibly oblivious to some things. He couldn't pick up subtle cues, and even suggestions flew over his head with about a mile of airspace between his skull and the suggestion. /I am very smart. Please don't tell me that's a subreddit. I don't want to go to that subreddit. Off to brave the heat. Okay, I will continue to be inside where the air conditioning and my computer is. Enjoy being out in the gross nature that's trying to actively murder you. Okay, I mean, I sort of read this and my mind immediately went to, you know, autism. There's a chance. Apparently, there's a lot of people who are undiagnosed neurodivergent, and it wouldn't surprise me. But that being said, clearly, neurotypical isn't that common if everybody seems to be neurodivergent these days. These days. There are Reddits like that. I don't remember if it was that specific one. Oh, look, I'm sure there's lots of really, really terrible Reddits I could read, but the whole point of this is for it to be entertaining and not horribly, horribly depressing, right? We're sort of enjoying this vicariously, knowing the quality of human being that's probably posting these things, as opposed to the subject matter. Whereas, I mean, occasionally the subject matter can be a little silly, but I feel like the sillier ones tend to be really short stories of one instance, rather than really long stories about a person who's clearly got something else going on. I guess I could have just chosen to read the shorter ones, but where's the fun in that? Okay, she originally chalked it up to him being on the autism spectrum. Guys, we could have just read ahead a line. I didn't even need to stop. As she had a few other friends who had similar problems picking up cues. So she just switched her behavior from talking to neurotypical to talking to neurodivergent, and the bump smoothed out for a while. Have you read Fifth World Problems? No, that hasn't been on my list yet. Oh no, what is that? What is that? That sounds horribly depressing. I Am Very Smart is the real one? Oh no. Is it about people being horribly superior and smug to about things that they've done? It's like, see, here I went and I corrected their grammar. I'm great. Oh god, oh no. I guess maybe we could poke fun at the fact that they're awful human beings that enjoy their own emissions. Oh, then them being wrong. Okay, that could be a bit more satisfying. That could be a bit more satisfying. But it almost feels like we're naming and shaming them. It's like, oh, did you see their name was in the papers? Did you see Doris was doing infidelity to another dude with her inside out penis? It's like, do we feel gross about that? I don't know. Maybe. I will definitely add both of those to the suggestions thread, because I like Reddit. I like these Reddit streams. They're really, not so much that they're easy, but they always give something, right? There's always something going on, which is nice, especially if you guys are trying to be busy on a Friday night or a Saturday morning. That's more or less all of the options. Okay. Here's an example from Fifth World Problems. I reckon you'd like it, even if it's off stream. Found out my AI image generator is cheating. It just creates alternative realities and takes normal pictures. Now I have a mess of 23,432 parallel universes full of angry people with extra fingers threatening to sue me. Oh wow, that's a special kind of individual, isn't it? Oh boy. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Holy crap. Oh no. Oh no. How did they find that out? How did they discover that? Did they go to their shaman? Did they gut an animal and look at its augurs? Did they throw a glass of bones onto the table? That's okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. It almost feels like that one needs to actually, I need to step away and audit it and grab like, try to find like a dozen or a dozen and a half great ones and then bring that to the table. See, look, if I was super popular and attractive and smelled nice, I'd have people that I could send off to do that for me. Not to say that I don't have spare time. There's all that time that I waste sleeping. All right. Some of them fall flat, but others are actually hilarious. Yeah, that's why I don't know if I need to crowdsource those ones. But by crowdsource, I mean what I usually do here and just sort the best of all time, or whether I'd need to go in myself and pick them out. You know, maybe a slightly vetted stream might be fun in that regard. I'll have to look into that. I'm sure I'll find time somewhere. Okay, anyway. All is well and good. Then the talk of taking the relationship seriously came up. Marriage. Crowdsource equals pay someone on Fiverr. Yeah, but how do I know about their comedic sensibilities on Fiverr? What, are they professional humorists? I am the one who is the gatekeeper of what is and isn't funny, right? Clearly, it needs to be something that I find funny because that's everything I do on stream. It's like, no, I'm going to pay somebody in the West Indies $15 to go through an entire subreddit and pick out the best. That's why you search people who are funny, because they definitely don't have a horse in this race. They are the most respected human beings that definitely would not lie to you. Only the highest quality people on Fiverr. I mean, this isn't Fiverr after all. Okay. And that's when the plane hit the mountain with a cartoonish bang. Kevin announced that he wanted a DNA test Sergei's kids to make sure they were his. Kids who were 5 and 3 when Sergei and Kevin started dating. Sergei said she had to come to a full stop in the conversation for several seconds while her brain rebooted. Sergei, they're not your kids. You know they're not. My ex-husband and I had them together before I ever met you. She had still been pregnant with the youngest when she said her ex finalized the divorce. Whole other story. Kevin. Yeah, and now that we're getting married, they'll become mine. I just want a DNA test to them to be sure of it. Sergei. Let me see if I understand this. Do you actually think my children's DNA will change to become biologically yours when you adopt them? Kevin. Obviously. I just want the confirmation on paper is all. Insert that's not how this works and not how any of this works meme here. That's a meme? That's a meme? Sorry, I don't know what those things are. There was a long conversation about how DNA didn't work that way, with his rebuttal that adopting them would make them become his. They are mine, they are my chattel, they are my property, they belong to me now. Your children, mine. Your kids, mine. Maybe you could have a Jeff Goldblum The Fly situation, right? Where they have some sort of special tubes or chambers where you put the kids on one side and you like spit. You expectorate in the other one, and then you just press the button. Like, there. Done and dusted. They're mine now. Okay. Oh, boy. Then there had to be a conversation that becoming his children would only happen on paper and in the legal system. That no, the children would not magically transform into his own biological children once the paperwork was filed. Him insisting that everybody said the kids became theirs once the adoption happened. Her explaining the concept of adopted children are loved just as much as if they were biological, and what that meant. Him insisting that everything pointed to kids becoming theirs. Look, I think once again, this is just semantics, right? It's like, what does theirs truly mean? It's like, it's good. This guy clearly wants to take care of these children. Just not like how they are now, where they're half some dude. He wants that some dude part removed and his parts inserted. I think that's perfectly reasonable, right? He's ready to be a good dad, but only if his genes are present. And he's not putting his genes into those children in any other fashion. Okay, his mum eventually had to become involved to back Sergei up. His dad had to become involved to back Sergei up. A few books had to get involved to back Sergei up. Kevin was furious. He couldn't understand why people would ever adopt a kid if the kid didn't become the actual biological child of the people who took them in. How stupid and selfish it was for kids to retain the DNA of the sperm/egg donor. How could any kid who wanted to be adopted refuse to change one little thing so they could have parents? DNA doesn't work that way is a bullshit excuse. He ranted, he raved, and right in front of his own parents. He told her that if her kids weren't going to become his kids, then the marriage wasn't going to happen. He told her that he would give them all a week to change their minds and agree to be his biological kids. He said when they stopped being selfish and when the DNA test proved it, he would take the kids in. Sergei to me, and that's how the relationship ended. Me. Wait, hang on. He was just looking for an excuse to break it off? Did he just get cold feet or want to date around some more or... Sergei? Nope. He really is just that stupid. His mum called me on the sly and very gently suggested that I just break it off with Kevin, because no matter how much she and his dad talk to him, he's adamant about it. He's even saying that he will never date a woman with kids from here on out unless they agree to change their DNA to become his if the relationship becomes serious. So, Sergei is single again, having dodged a tactical nuke. God help everyone if he ever breeds. Yeah, I mean... I don't know that I'd go down the route of saying that this particular Kevin was just a stubborn human being. I think maybe as a control freak, he may in turn also be a control freak, also just dumb. He needs to be in control of the situation, and if those kids contain the DNA of someone who left and someone that isn't him, then clearly they're not ever going to be his children, and he just couldn't stand that. He couldn't stand that, and his knowledge of biology didn't allow him to do any kind of gene therapy to create them as his own children. Now, okay, here's where the skeptic kicks in. Is it real? Israel? Is this in fact a real story about a real thing that really happened? Because I'm skeptical. I think maybe this was just a haha funny joke. I refuse to believe people are this dumb. Yeah, okay. And once again... Yeah, this is one of those things where surely after being shown... Well, see, this is a tricky one, right? Because I think I might have to put this in the same sphere as, like, flat earth theorists, right? Or flat earth believers, flat earth apologists, what do you call them? Idiots who believe that the world is flat. These people, regardless of the amount of evidence that is shown, even when they create the evidence themselves that proves that the flat earth is not a thing, they still refuse to believe that the earth is round. Well, an obligate spheroid, okay? Let's not go with round, that's crazy. It's an obligate sphere. That thing I said. So, it could be the same situation, where regardless of the information that is being given to this man, he is sure that there could not possibly be a human being that is willing to take in a child that is not biologically theirs. And that some magic has to happen where because of their love, because of the union between these two human beings, it rewrites the DNA of a person for them to have officially become theirs. This one's an odd one because I want to know where this guy came up with this idea. Or if this was just like a personal philosophy that he adopted that he believed must be true. Because the idea, just much like the flat earthers, the idea that the earth is not flat is just so far out of their scope of understanding that they can't believe that any other viewpoint is correct. And that almost sounds like it's a mental illness. It's so bizarre. This one is just weird. If it is in fact true, much like flat earthers exist and we've seen evidence of them existing, and they're all not just making this joke so that we can laugh. They're not every single flat earther is just a troll. Then this could in fact be real and this human being could exist somewhere. I just don't know how. Because we're all effectively made up of the same stuff. Very little distinguishes one human being from another. We're all operating on the same hardware and software for the most part. I don't understand how people like this can exist. Much in the same way that they just don't understand how DNA doesn't just magically change. And I guess this is one of those situations where you can tell that we live in a modern world. Because if we still lived in a place of savagery, this child would not have reproduced. They would not have come to term. They would not have been able to survive in the environment that we don't live in now. They would have just walked off a cliff somewhere. They would have been eaten by an apex predator. They would have consumed their own feet because they became hungry and bled to death. There is no way. Once again, Charles Darwin is going to kick his way out of his grave and strangle this man to death. You can't exist. I'm going to say this is a lie. I'm going to say that Al Kuna is a fiction writer. You know, I could... do we want to collapse the waveform? Do we want to see where else Al Kuna posts? Do you think all of their other posts are in creative writing? Are they an author? I'm not going to. Let's move on. Oh my god, it's an Austrian. I live there. I live in Austria. It's crazy. Finally a story that hits close to home. As me, as an Austrian. Because we're in Europe, you know, where it's really, really hot a lot of the time. Is this a rude name? Schartentotje. Okay. Anyway, thank you and apologies to my fellow countryman Schartentotje. Kevina thinks she's bilingual. Austrian here. Hello. G'day. G'day from Austria. Let me just slip into my lederhosen. My sister used to take in couch surfers from all across the world. Most were lovely fellas with interesting stories to tell. But one time we hit the jackpot. We got a set of 4 American stereotypes. Oh, America, please stop. Stop. Stop being overly represented, please. Stop. I love you guys. You guys are great. Stop. The ones that I used to think were only real in movies, and one of them was an airheaded cheerleader who was one hell of a pain. Since they're not relevant to the story, I won't go into detail about how rude and obnoxious Kevina behaved during the days leading up to the event. I agree, we need to settle down. You need to settle down, find someone to marry, convert the DNA of their children so that it's also yours, and just live a nice, happy life. Clearly, gene therapy is in order. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. But let me tell you, at this point, even her friends were done with her. It's New Year's Eve. The couch surfers decide to stay with us instead of going out into the city, and my sis and I go on about our New Year's celebration the same way we always do. Having fondue, dancing the Blue Danube, and watching Dinner for One, Midnight comes and goes. Within less than 5 minutes, Kavina takes her laptop to the other room to video call her parents, leaving the door open. And off she goes, complaining loudly about how my sister and I are embarrassing as fuck. Literally how she pronounced it. That Austrian food we had sucked. As much as I would love to claim fondue for our cuisine, the French would likely be opposed. How the mountains looked fake. Oh wait, no, she didn't stretch out the A. Probably should have. Feels like it would have been consistent. And what not. My sister and I were in the living room with the others, perfectly able to hear every single word, while her friends turned red as tomatoes. Oh, sorry, tomatoes. And started giving us apologetic looks. Cue Kavina's return, marching into the living room with a carefree attitude of, oh, sorry, it just sunk in what happened. Oh no. Really? Sorry, it was so far afield. It was like they hit the based ball and it flew to like the left-hand side of the field, and I'm standing there in the right with my mitts up in the air, and then the ball lands and they get to the homes run and I go, wait, I didn't catch the ball was Let us continue. Sorry, I guess I'm a bit thick too. Look, I'm sure chat saw it immediately. Okay. Marching into the living room with the carefree attitude of the ignorant dumbass. No, I'm getting to it. Kavina's friend. Kavina, we heard you. All of us. Kavina, so what? I was talking American. My sister and I looked at each other and started laughing so hard it took us a few minutes to calm down. She had been talking to us every single day in English, but somehow that was different in Kavina's world. Her friends apologized profusely. Kavina did not, because she just couldn't believe, even when we told her that, yes, we do understand American. Yeah, that's what hit me. I realized that she thought that she was talking a different language because American isn't the same as English. Oh boy. Because, you know, in Austria, clearly, they're multilingual. They would be normally speaking Austrian. Oh boy. Ow! Ow, my brain! Ow! Ow! It was right. Like when I read the topic, when I thought this Kavina thinks she's bilingual, I thought she was going to like be talking and then suddenly think that she could speak Austrian. I didn't think that it was going to be that. Oh my god. You did it. You did it. Internet, you did it. You got me. Wow. Wow. You know, it's like there's a black hole and all of the light gets absorbed into it, and then every now and again, if it's just on the edge of the limit of the gravitational pull, the light can pass the black hole. That's what happened. The light got past. I am clearly a black hole of entertainment, and the light just got past me. Damn! That's some high quality stupid. You know what? I might not read the next one. Let's just, let's move past that one. I think it had something to do with a kind of grain. I don't know. Anyway. Let's read a few more. I'm not going to go too long on this because I feel like we've already got the basic idea. A lot of the time, the people are just being uncharitable. And occasionally there is one golden nugget of somebody truly being that stupid. And it just doesn't work with my worldview. Because a lot of the time, you know, I just feel like most of my interactions with human beings happen in a place where people are being deliberately stupid right? Because I work the logistics section of a retail outlet. And we have two kinds of people. We have the staff that would prefer to be anywhere else, and clearly that's where their brains are. And we have the customers who play dumb because they don't want to do anything and they would prefer the staff do everything for them, right? So you have those two stupids, but those are affectations. These people aren't actually stupid. We're all just playing a dumb game, right? And they're the two, they're the two quote unquote stupids that I get and that I experience most of the time. That's amazing. That's how does this person not swallow their tongue and die stupid, right? Whoo, boy. Okay, I was going to say maybe this one will be a little better. Thank you and apologies to CatPoker666. Kavina uses household bleach to dye hair melts. Cool. So, Kavina was one of my best friends growing up. More due to proximity, as she was the nearest neighbor my age. Sweet and funny, Kavina was also not the brightest bulb. When Kavina was born, she had blonde hair, naturally darkened with age. Kavina hated that. So she tried sun in. Her hair turned tangerine blonde. She hated that even more. So I suggested she bleach her hair. As in hair dye. I probably should have been more specific in retrospect. However, most 13-year-olds don't need to be told that there is, in fact, a difference between hair dye bleach and household bleach. Now, is bleach in itself hydrogen peroxide? Right, because, once again, bleach... Because I think it just has to do with concentration. Why is the first thing that comes up when I search for bleach the television series? Okay, alright, so no. It's sodium hypochlorite. Right, okay, fine. I learned something today. So sodium hydrochlorite is domestic household bleach, which is different to hydrogen peroxide, which is used in small concentrations to dye hair and teeth. Fun. See, look, once again, I consider myself to be a reasonably knowledgeable person. I didn't know that. I wouldn't have known that without looking. But I also wouldn't have put household bleach on my hair because I don't have any. Probably because it melted off when I put bleach on my head, right? That's how it works? Okay. Kavina was excited. She said she was going to do it that night and go super blonde. R.I.P. Akira Toriyama? I was relieved. Why did I laugh at that? I was relieved and excited for her as I thought I was about to finally hear the end of the seemingly never-ending hair saga. May not have known the exacts, but I knew there was a difference. Of course. I mean, we all knew there was... for me, I thought maybe that hydrogen peroxide was also used as household bleach. It's just that the concentration was much higher, right? Like methylated spirits. Where it's effectively just ethanol, right? So I thought it was something like that, because it's not like you're drinking booze by drinking straight methylated spirits, or as we call in Australia, metho. You're not just downing that, unless you're a disgusting alcoholic that somehow become immune to the poison that they put in it. Anyway, Kavina was excited. She said she was going to do it that night and go Super Saiyan. I was relieved and excited for her, as I thought I was about to finally hear the end of the seemingly never-ending hair saga. I went over to her house the next day. There were tears in Kavina's eyes, as her mom was cutting off her hair in uneven clumps. Bright blonde bits were strewn across the floor like some weird broken halo. My mind was racing, struggling to figure out what had led us here. Did Kavina use too much dye? Leave it on for too long, forget to wash out the sun in, and some weird reaction occurred? I asked Kavina if she was okay and what happened. Through a mix of what was now streams of snot and those kinds of tears you only get from ugly crying. Oh, hey, there's this... What is that? Oh, sorry, there's some kind of insect wandering around in here. It's fine, the spiders will eat it. Okay. I did what you said. I used bleach, and now my hair is ruined! 3 exclamation marks. While Kavina glared at me balefully, the pit of my stomach dropped from a mix of guilt and fear. Guilt that I'd apparently destroyed my best friend's hair, and fear that Kavina couldn't handle this existential hair crisis, and she was already super self-conscious about her looks. As she continued to glare at me from under patches of hair that increasingly looked like a 3-year-old's effort at cutting Barbie's hair, I struggled with what to say. Finally, I stammeringly mumbled in front of Kavina's mum, "I'm so sorry, Kavina and Mrs. Kavina. I didn't think this would happen." Now they were both glaring at me. Great. There was a long pause and my mind raced about what could have gone wrong. I bleached my hair all the time and it never looked like this. What could have gone wrong? Was it the brand? Was it that you literally told us what happened in the start of the story and you're trying to build tension for something we already know? Look, see, here's what I would have done, right? Here's me, the literary critic. Kavina dyes hair, hair melts. Right? Like, that's a lead-in. That's a pretty strong title. And then you go, wow, how? How did this happen? I'm going to go along with this story and not quite understand what's going on until right at the delivery of the punchline. Nah, forget that. We already know that Luffy's gonna find the One Piece. Right. As she continued to glare at me from under patches of... No, I got that. Finally, I got that too. After what seemed like hours of watching Kavina in absolute misery and just wanting to hug away my best friend's tears, I asked, "Kavina, I'm just so sorry. Maybe it was the brand or something? What brand did you use?" "Clorox," Kavina replied. Now see, here's it. This is like, yes, great punchline. That's great. You thought she used hair bleach, but she used bleach. Perfect. Why did you ruin it here? And, here? No. See, this would have been this could have been number 1. This potentially could have been the best story on this subreddit. If you just edited it slightly. It would have been great. Would have been amazing. But then again, I guess, you know, Joe Schmo isn't necessarily somebody who's used to formatting text in a satisfying way. Damn. What a shame. Okay, dumb person dyed their hair wrong. But once again, children, like 13. The idea that a 13-year-old made a mistake and thought something that was called bleach wasn't used to bleach things. They're a kid. They're dumb. They're suffering from childhood. Oh, hold on. There's more. But wait, there's more. So this now becomes a tale of Mama Kavina. Remember Mama Kavina glaring at me as well? She, too, did not grasp why this happened. I use this stuff on clothes, bleaches them just fine, no damage. Why would it mess up my daughter's hair? Oh no, genetics. See, here's the mistake the mother made. She used her DNA on the child. Damn. Mistakes were made. I cringed inwardly. Mama Kavina has a bit of a temper, you see, and by bit of a temper, think pots and pans flying and an array of insults that would surprise a sailor in their ingenuity. So, diffusing this situation was going to be difficult. Like, pick a wire to cut on a bomb difficult. Something I always respected about Mama Kavina is how protective she was of her little cub, Kavina. So I have to strike a delicate balance. Don't piss off Mama Bear, and don't let on to Kavina that her hair is basically trashed, and she's going to take a lot of crap at school. As a result, I also have to clarify how chemistry works and why they shouldn't hate me forever. As Mama Kavina continues to cut patchy clumps from Kavina's head, I begin. Timidly, I say while trying not to laugh at the absurdity of the situation to keep the twin bombs in check. So, you know when you bleach clothes over time, they tend to wear out more quickly? Yes, Mama agrees, while staring blankly at me. Well, that's the fabric being damaged, right? When things wear out? Another blank-faced yes from Mama K. Well, that's only when you put a capful in a full load, right? Yes, rolling her eyes impatiently as if I can't get to the point, but I know that if I don't take this slowly and in an understandable way, she will blow her top. Mama Kavina hates being confused. I breathe in slowly, ready to continue. I'm temporarily distracted by the mounting pile of hair at Kavina's feet. We've gone from a dusting of clumps to now what looks like a pile of straw. I mentally make my face as polite as possible and carry on with my delicate balancing act. Well, now imagine if you put straight 100% Clorox on clothes with no water. That would be stupid, Mama Kavina said. Everybody knows that. Still not seeing the connection, though, and looking increasingly frustrated. Well, Kavina put 100% Clorox on her hair and left it on for an hour. The fibers in your hair are more delicate than clothes. You know how your hair breaks if it's too dry or if you brush it too much. I said, trying to sound as little like a kid talking down to an adult as possible, as that was yet another of Mama K's triggers. Well, yes, but what's that got to do with anything? Asked Mama Kavina, somehow combining the very slight dawning of connection with her growing impatience. I muster every fiber of my being to school my face into a normal expression. Taking yet another deep breath, I continue. So last night when Kavina put straight bleach on her hair, it appears she melted it. That's why the pieces won't come apart and you have to cut them out. Mama Kavina's face darkens with what I think is sudden understanding. The clumps are continuing to mount up for a while. Meanwhile, Kavina is still lost, her blue eyes as empty as I've ever seen them, but ringed with red. But you told me to do it, she whines. Mama K's face grows darker. A serious storm is brewing. I try another tack. Uh-oh. Okay, I've lived this. I have been a child too smart for their own good, right? But I think there's a very big difference between being a child who's too smart for their own good and then having a defense mechanism kick in, right? Because clearly, now you've met me, you've known me for a while, a hot minute. Do you think that maybe I'm a little too sarcastic for my own good? And if I went into public and was this sarcastic to other human beings, problems might arise? Because yeah, problems could arise if I interacted with human beings in public like this. So very quickly, I realized, being in a school where a lot of people carried knives and other concealed weapons, that it probably wasn't a very good idea to use intellect to diffuse situations, or to effectively, you don't want to be, what do they call it? Like, there's a mental competitiveness that's occurring here. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is bad. You're stupid. Stop it. You're the dumb one here. It's like, if lady is unhinged, it's like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave. I'm going to tell mum. It's like, mother dearest, mummy, there's a very good chance that neighbor lady is going to come over and she's going to be very angry. I suggested that her child bleach her hair and she was dumb and just poured Clorox in. So now she don't have no hair no more. But I'm afraid that she's going to wring my neck and blame me. So could you, like, deal with this in an adult fashion? With an adult and an adult, these things tend to be less inflammatory and less 13-year-old girl found on side of the road with broken neck. Police baffled. Just saying. Okay. Yes, I suggested you bleach your hair, Kavina. Again, I'm so sorry it's a little messed up. Kavina snuffles dejectedly. I know you are. I just don't know why you'd do this to me. Mama Kay glowers even more darkly. Well, Kavina, you know how some kinds of hair dye lighten your hair? That's called bleaching too. That's what I meant. Kavina's face. Kavina's face flashes from dejected mourning of her hair to genuine anger. But you told me to bleach it. How was I supposed to know what you meant? I paused again. A deep inhale followed by soldiering on. Kavina, what does your mum use to cover her grays? Oh, and now you're negging the mum? Wow, this kid's really intelligent. Holy crap. Kavina's face is now a perfect mirror of her mother's, anger coupled with impatience for me to get to the point. Hair dye, she grudgingly answers in a tone indicating that it has absolutely nothing to do with the current situation. A more forceful, "What's that got to do with anything?" follows. Okay, so if your mum uses hair dye to cover her grays, what do I use to make my hair blonder? Still vacant and ever more irritated, Kavina replies, "Hair dye." Right. And what does that do? Still not a flicker of the old light bulb going off in Kavina's head. It makes your hair blonde. Exactly, Kavina. It makes your hair blonde, which is lighter than my natural hair color, right? So hair dye makes my hair lighter by bleaching it. I reply as gently as possible. I don't know what it is, but this is feeling pretty cringe. I'm getting those cringe feels where it's like, I could have seen myself do this as a kid. I mean, I wouldn't have, but I could have seen myself doing this, because that's what a cringe response is, right? It's your empathy getting set off. And it's painted as this like horrible thing now, where it's like, oh no, cringe culture. Where it's like, no, sorry. The idea that a human cringes at something is good, right? It means that you're a functional human being. It's not something that's supposed to be reviled. You're not supposed to go look at it and go, oh my god, those people are so cringy, I hate them. It's supposed to be, oh man, oh, I empathize with you. You poor summer soul. How could you? How could you let this happen? Cringe is important. Don't vilify cringing. Please. Okay. I hated cringe in movies. Well, once again, you know, it's serving a particular purpose. I mean, there's other ways of getting an emotional response out of people in a film rather than using cringe. Music especially. Music is very effective of creating an emotional reaction, and you probably don't need to concentrate on cringe. But, you know, if some kid does something embarrassing in public and you go, you're doing that because it's like, oh no, I know that feeling. No, why have you done that? I mean, you probably shouldn't go out of your way to continually expose yourself to it, but it's not evil. Sudden cutoff of music is good for scares. Exactly. If you're using the filmic space correctly, you can evoke any kind of emotion that you want to. It's very manipulative, but it's effective. And I suppose cringe in that case is as well, but once again, I think it's like feeling annoyed when you hear a child crying. It's very deep set into a human, where we know that an infant's wail is supposed to set us off to there might be a source of danger. I'm a music man, yes, I do enjoy a good music occasionally. But more than anything, I enjoy media, right? That's why I'm reading, that's why I play video games, that's why I enjoy music, film, television. Okay, maybe not television as much anymore, but all of this stuff, all of this media that we consume is very important, and it's all very, like, narratively important as well. It really cuts to the quick of, I like these things. And I think if you don't appreciate music, there's a sort of lack of soul there. Which is why a game with a suitably effective soundtrack, you should look up Epic the Musical. Very good music. I mean, I've listened to a few musicals. It's, for me, generally, it's just the way that they sing is kind of frustrating. Like, I'm singing a song and you're listening to me singing. This is songs. Oh, it's not a video musical? So it's not like a... Yeah, but like, it's not a stage musical, right? It's just songs? Oh, okay. No, that's fine then. Because, yeah, it's like, hello, I'm a guy, I'm singing a song. And it's like, stop. Please don't. Like, I feel uncomfortable. Why are you doing that? It's like, surely you can sing. I know that the audience needs to understand what you're saying, but, you know, they don't do that in opera. Anyway, I keep losing my place. There is dialogue, but it's not talking to the audience. Okay, no, that's that. Okay, I'll have a look. I'll have a look in. I will have a look. I'll write it in my phone. I'll even spell it correctly. Okay. The clacking of the scissors becomes louder and more frequent. Mama Kevina was clearly about to blow if I didn't speed things up a bit, so I decide what have I got to lose at this point and go for it. Sorry, ADHD version over. No, it's fine. Hey, it's streaming. That's what happens. Streaming is constantly going off topic and pivoting to new topics. That's what streaming is. That's what I'm here to facilitate. Right? I'm on the clock. Okay, so hair dye to go lighter is a different type of bleach than Clorox. It's made to lighten the weaker fibers in your hair. Hair dye weakens your hair over time, but Clorox is way too strong and that's what hurts your hair. I pause, hoping this helps. Still blank and accusing, but now confusion is mixed with anger. Crap. When I said you might want to bleach your hair, that's what I meant. Anger again became dominant in Kevina's gaze. Why didn't you say so? Deep breath, trying to control my own rising frustration. I didn't think I had to. Mama Kay was now full on angry. Well, you should have said something. How was I supposed to know Kevina was going to do that? I asked. Well, if you were a real friend, you would have known what she would do. Mama Kay roared. I'm sorry, I really didn't know. I demurred. Get out. I'm not bellowing. Mama Kay bellowed in a voice that suggested she meant business. Need to get you paid then. I'd prefer to be played than paid, to be perfectly frank. I grabbed my backpack and headed to the door, still at a loss for how to make this better. But when Mama Kay was really angry, the best thing to do was to get what? Stop, no. What the hell? Oh, you wonderful human being, you. Thank you, but you didn't even go into work today. That's... Oh, man. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm sorry. I appreciate the fact that you believe that this is worth putting money at. I think that's yes. I pay for my entertainment. Well, you're maybe one of the few that do. Thank you. Although I think that's probably how the entertainment industry is moving, especially since people are moving away from YouTube being profitable and therefore they're outsourcing their funding through things like Patreon and let's not get those tangents. Okay. I grabbed my backpack and headed to the door, still at a loss for how to make this better, but when Mama Kay was really angry like this, the best thing was to get what had made her angry out of the way as fast as humanly possible. Kevina and I had learnt that the hard way over the years. As I opened the door, I turned back hoping the situation had cooled a little. No such luck. I saw what was now the most of Kevina's hair on her feet, from past her shoulders to the most lopsided pixie cut I'd ever seen. Get out! Mama shrieked again, this time as if her lungs were about to burst from her rage. Two Kavina's eyes bored simultaneously into my back. Still no comprehension that this was not my fault. No, sorry. Well, let me read the next part and then we'll get into it. Monday was going to be fun. You already knew. You already knew. Right back here. Literally the second sentence you wrote in your story, my friend. Sweet and funny, Kavina was also not the brightest bulb. Now, of course, you're also a stupid child. A little smug, but a stupid child nonetheless. I'm sorry, but you knew who you were dealing with, right? Now, I don't necessarily think that it's a person's job to shepherd those who are a little more dense on their way, but she was well aware that her friend wasn't smart. Oh, no, I'm not even referring to the mother. I'm referring to the child that was the cause of all this. Because what I read, like if we read between the lines here, there is a reasonable amount of frustration here, right? The language is very evocative. It's like, she immediately starts complaining. It's like, she dyed her hair. She hated it. She dyed her hair. She hated it more. It's like, oh my god. It's like, she's gonna do it. Finally, I don't have to listen to this crap anymore, right? So there was a dismissiveness to it. She was tired of it. She didn't want to give good advice. She was like, just go bleach it already. Just get out of my... Go do it. It's just... I don't want to hear it anymore, right? So after she's done that, after she's pulled the pin on this stupid person hand grenade and flung it out the door, it's like, well, I mean, I can't be held responsible for what the dumb hand grenade does. I mean, I did pull the pin on it, but I can't be held responsible. Excuse me? No, you're partially responsible here because you didn't clarify to the person you know who is dim, right? Also, the person who didn't dye her hair up until now, and with you being someone who does dye their hair, you already know they're thick. So no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, in this situation, in this trolley problem of life, you did decide to pull the lever, right? You have one track, which is, if I do nothing, child complains about hair not being blonde enough. But you pulled the track that is, child goes off to dye their hair without knowledge on how to do so. You pulled the pin and gave it to someone else. It's not their fault if they let the trigger go. No, I'm saying that had she done nothing, things would have continued as they were. Maybe eventually the mother would have heard these whines and decided to get hair dye for her child, right? But in this trolley problem, she pulled that lever. She pulled that lever. She is now responsible, at least to some degree, of that trolley running over that child's hair and all of the hair. I mean, we can agree to disagree, but she stopped being an observer. So she collapsed the waveform, right? So yeah, okay, you can't prevent stupid people from doing stupid things, right? That's not what's going to happen, but you can instigate their stupidity. And that's kind of what happened here. What's a good example? I left a knife out around a toddler, right? Don't pull the lever, listen to the complaining. Yeah, well, that's it. She pulled the lever. She pulled the lever, so this is partially her fault. I left the knife near the toddler. Now the knife is in the child like it was a block for storing knives. It is now a child. Well, it was a living. It is now a child block, right? And that's just where you keep the knife. And it's like, oh man, stupid child stabbed itself in the head. Now I have a tchotchke and a dead child. Ah man, if only that child wasn't so stupid. It's like, I already know a child's going to do a stupid thing. That's why people child-proof their homes. It's like, oh man, there's an electrical outlet. I better put a plug on that so that the child doesn't murder itself. Right? Yeah, oh no, now I'm in jail. Exactly. It's like, that... we could put this down to negligence, right? This could be a negligent act. But I'll erase all of that because the child was also a 13-year-old, right? And just because this child thought that they were intelligent, they weren't very wise. So regardless of how much intellect you have, if you lack that wisdom, if you don't understand what you've done, yeah, children can't raise children. Yeah, stupid child makes another slightly more stupid child do something stupid. Oh, damn. Once again, coming back to the pipe bomb story, I didn't tell child A not to continue to try to light the pipe bomb. I did hide behind a tree because I was concerned what would have happened if the pipe bomb went off, but I didn't prevent him from doing what he was doing. I didn't intercede because I was a child and I was thinking to myself, well, I mean, he could get hurt, but I really want to see what happens if the pipe bomb goes off, right? So I wanted to see child A set off the pipe bomb. Because I was a stupid kid and he was a stupid kid. I'd like to think things have changed now. If I could go back in time, I'd probably, you know, I don't know if I'd slap the match out of his hand, but I'd probably, you know, I might go inside. No, okay, how do you do this? It's like, because if you interfere with the child and you're an adult, then it's assault, right? So how do I defuse this situation? Maybe I get the hose and I just hose down the pipe bomb so it can't be lit. Because, I mean, if you go inside and you tell the parent, tell him to throw it away. I mean, you could tell him to throw it away. Might not listen. I mean, this is already a child that's doing this. You could tell the caregiver that the child's trying to exploit themselves, but there's also a good chance that they would just come out and watch because they're already the kind of parent that allows their child to build a pipe bomb. So yeah, I mean, given the opportunity, if you inhabit the child body of your child self, then yeah, maybe just slap the match out of their hand and say, you do know you could just blow your fingers off, idiot. Right? And then I guess if after doing that, he then picks up the matchbook and tries to light the pipe bomb again, you've done your due diligence. Go back behind the tree. Just go back behind the tree. You've done what you could. Now Darwin is in charge. He has recoalesced from his ashes, and he's now standing in the corner giggling. My thing is, I will try to talk to them. If I can't, I just watch. Yeah, I mean, but once again, this is going back to that situation. You can intercede as an adult, but there are lots of laws that make it very difficult for an adult to directly do anything. Yeah, I guess you could say something. But this is one of those, like, pragmatic problem-solving situations. I think the fastest thing to do, rather than talking down the kid who's actively trying to blow their fingers off, would just be to wet down the bomb so that they can't set it on. They can't light it. It's done. You know, you can't light a wet wick. It's not like he was a survivalist that had... he didn't have special waterproof matches with a special waterproof wick. Of course, I come into this situation knowing what that was. I was the tattletale child. Yeah, but... Oh, okay. This is probably a section of Australiana, but in Australiana, dobbing, being a dobber, was probably the worst possible thing you could be as a child. If you go tell, then you are like on the lowest rung of society. Like, I even had an interview for a real brick and mortar business that had a whole section about whether or not you would dob on your fellow employees. Right? And in that, it's like, well, shit, I have to say no. Right? It's like, you look at it, the test, and it's like, well, they expect me to say no. If I say yes, then that means I'm going to be a problem. I'm going to end up as a liability as a staff member, so I have to say no. It's like, what a bizarre thing to do. It's so ingrained in the culture that you won't even hire dobbers. Was it just multiple choice? Look, this was decades ago, but I can only assume so, because they probably would have wanted to look through it quickly. There was like 100 questions or something. It was very detailed. They made us fill it out while they were vetting other people. But yeah, it was really bizarre. If you can explain it's a non-issue. Well, I suppose so. But at the time, I was just... It didn't matter in the end because, like, I stank of desperation when I went in there. I reeked of it. I was the worst kind of human being. It's like, oh my god, I need this job. And they went, ooh, we don't want to hire someone who needs a job. Oof, get out of here. Get out of here, kid. We don't need you. We don't need someone who's desperate for work. Get out of here. We want some cat and mouse here. We want you to play hard to get. It's like, you're desirable as a staff member. You don't even want to work here. That's how I got my last job. I walked into the interview and I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to work here. And they're like, you're hired. You're a cool. You're a cool. We like you. We like your flippant disdain for the place that you're currently in. You're hired. And I'm like, crap, I accidentally got a job. True story, I accidentally got my last job. That's just how hireable I am. I mean, you've seen me, you know. I'm that good. I'm that good of a specimen. Damn. All right. Anyway, I feel like we've probably gotten to our stopping point here. I don't know if... Wait. Oh, okay, sorry. No, we'll end with... we'll end with this. We will end with a story from Mama Bear 371. Kevin participates in sex ed. Oh boy. I teach high school at an alternative program for kids who were removed from the traditional school setting for drugs, violence, weapons, etc. One year we got a Kevin who came to us because someone dared him to bring Mary Jane to school. He did, got caught, and was sent to our program. Later that semester, we had a group come in to do sex ed. They would come by every day for a week for about half an hour each time. Each day brought new hilarity. One day, Kevin explains that the best way to decide if a girl has an STD is to stick his finger in his ear, get earwax, and then shove it up her vagina. If she jumps, she's got something. No amount of explanation could convince him that he was disgustingly wrong. Another day, he asked with all seriousness, "What happens if I pee inside a girl?" Probably the best moment was on the last day. The presenters would bring in a wooden demonstrator called Hoodie for students to practice condom skills. Kevin was not paying attention this day. No high school student ever wants to be the first one to put the condom on the Woody. So the presenters asked Kevin if he would be willing to demonstrate. Oh god. If he would be willing to demonstrate. Without any hesitation, he stood up and began to unzip his pants. Kevin had assumed he would be the Woody and apparently had no problem with this scenario in a room full of people. Now, okay. Alright. That's a pretty nice story to end on, okay? I get it, that's kind of fun. I don't think Kevin was stupid. I think Kevin was high. I think Kevin never stopped being high. If he was caught bringing Mary Jane to school, I don't think that there's any reason that he would have stopped bringing Mary Jane to school. He was probably just stoned. He wasn't paying attention. He was willing to pull out his genitalia in public. Yeah, that dude's just stoned. He's not dumb. He's just stoned. He's just having a good time. Look, school's very stressful, clearly. Especially when people judge you for pulling out your Woody. Anyway. I hope everyone had a nice, relaxing time. I hope we all enjoyed these stories and their very varying stupidity content, whether it was by those who penned it or those who were the subject. And all we really need to take away from this, just don't be a Kevin. Because once again, when you read the rules, you know, if you accidentally do something stupid every once in a while, that doesn't make you a Kevin. It seems like you really have to go out of your way to be extremely ignorant, stupid, or just not have those brain cells bounce against each other to truly be a Kevin. So, tomorrow is going to be a Sunday driving stream, because it's Sunday for me, but not for most other people. But it's Sunday for me, and we have Pacific Drive still sitting there waiting to have the hell played out of it. So I might do that, and perhaps because there's a public holiday on Monday, because horses need to run around in circles, I might do some kind of incentive to keep the game playing, or to extend the stream length, or maybe have some punishment for dying. Who knows? I'll mull over it, maybe I might open up the Discord for suggestions. We'll see what we do. Difficulty up. How am I supposed to make this harder? How do I make the end of the stream harder? Oh god, I have to come up with a skit now, don't I? Oh damn. I have to make it translate it. Translate what? Translate what? What are you talking about? What have I missed? What have I missed? Oh, I have to do a skit? Oh, god damn it. Okay, okay, skit. We're talking about Kevins and stupid people. There was something. I had something for this. Damn it, I did. What was the last stream I did? I did the... Shit, I had something. No, it's gone. No, no, trust me. Okay, so... the last stream we did the stream where it was stupid friggin' lady, the 19-year-old, and she was like, oh man, my car broke down, someone tried to stuff me into a trunk. We did that. So, but then there was like, I was going to play at the idea that I came up with this idea for this stream, despite the fact that it was a complete random search. I was going to be, oh man, last stream I did the thing, and there was something about a Kevin. There was something about a Kevin, and then it's just completely lost my mind, because there was something there. Trust me. This is a skit about a skit, clearly. So it was a Kevin. Damn it, I know this. There was a Kevin. 4.4k from karaoke. Maybe the punishment tomorrow will be much cheaper karaoke. Maybe karaoke will become cheaper and cheaper the more I die. Who knows? That's an idea. So there was a Kevin, and I was going to go, oh man, it's like I was thinking about Kevins, and then I didn't think, and it came to me in a dream. I hit my head on the toilet, and then I came up with the idea of Kevin streams. Jar of Hearts time. Yeah, I've got time to figure out what Jar of Hearts is. Damn it. Yeah, because I had a bit, right? And I was going to do the bit, but then the problem was I woke up yesterday, and I felt like I was a corpse. So I had the idea for the bit yesterday, because I planned on streaming this yesterday, and then I would have had the bit, and then it's like, yeah, and I would have gone, at the end of the stream, I would have gone, haha, joke's on you. I came up with this idea by doing a friggin' web search. I just typed in the stories on Reddit, and it's like, it popped up, and I went, oh yeah, that looks interesting. I guess I could do that. I could just stream that. And then I could lie. I could stream that, and I could bold-faced lie to human beings that aren't me, and they'd have to believe me, because I'm very convincing. Because you know what? You know what I didn't tell you? Bam! Zigzag. I'm the one that made him build the pipe bomb. It was me the whole time. I wanted to see what happens if he blew his fingers off. Because I was an evil child. Because I was a child. And all children are sociopaths. Ha ha! Gotcha! It's a gotcha moment at the end of the stream. That's also a lie. He came from a broken home. Low-income family. He was a neglected child. I was like his only friend. Was that also a lie? No, that was the truth. But was it? Now you'll never know. Now you'll question everything I say, because I always say that I always lie. And you'll never know. You'll never know if it's the truth or a lie. You'll never know if it's the truth or a lie. So that's the bit. That was the difficulty up. Bang, I did it. Pretty good. I give myself 4 stars. Would eat again. But I'll leave you on something even more bizarre. Right? A little... Oh, I don't know. Do I want to save that for the... It's a car story. Do I save that for the car story tomorrow? And now there's intrigue. And now you're going to have to wonder, did he actually have a car story? Was he lying? I'll never tell. No, I do have a car story. I'll tell you.